Third POV. A few seconds after May pressed the play button, the group members, waiting agonizingly as the episode loaded, watched as the video began. Technology, Wiz began, perking up the heads of the group's inventors. It improves our lives, lets you watch cool shows on the internet, and sometimes it can help you to rival gods. So, the theme of this fight appears to be of individuals who use technology to fight on a superhuman level, Momo analyzed. Like a hero based entirely on support items. Odd and joyful grins rose from the former and current quirkless teens, alongside the interested gazes of the latter's father and a UA teacher, and the hungry smile and zooming eyes of a restrained, salmon-haired inventor. Like with Iron Man, the armored Avenger, Boomstick introduced the first fighter, and Lex Luthor, arch-nemesis of Superman, Wiz introduced the second fighter. Wait, arch-nemesis of Superman, Mineta pointed out wide-eyed. As in the same Superman that can punch with the strength of a supernova and move planets. Regardless of how anyone can stand up to someone of that strength, it confirms that this Lex Luthor is a villain in his world, Kendo focused on. One of the same universe as Superman. How many does that make of that world, Midoriya? 5 confirmed characters from the DC universe, the 6th match where one appeared, and the 5th time they're fighting someone from the Marvel universe. Izuku counted as he wrote in his notebook. Wait, how do you know Iron Man's from the Marvel universe? Deku-kun, Chico asked. He was in the background of some of the other Marvel characters, a red and gold armored man, Izuku answered. I didn't know who he was until now. He also seemed to be a hero in his world with how much he was paired with the others like Captain America and Thor. Another battle between the Marvel and DC universes, Nizu hummed, amused. Additionally, if Deadpool's status as an anti-hero counts as a hero, this will be the second time a hero from one world fought a villain from the other. Right, Deathstroke was the villain between him and Deadpool, and now this Luthor person, if he would oppose Superman, All Might said, remembering the heroic nature of his counterpart. He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick. Boomstick introduced both co-hosts. And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle. Wiz finished the intro. The first fighter appeared in a myriad of different looks, but 2 prominent and consistent appearances stood out. The first was the man, a tall, well-built American with white skin, short, somewhat messy black hair, and a goatee and mustache combo. He typically dressed in either casual slacks and t-shirts, a black tuxedo with expensive-looking dress clothes, or even an all-black, form-fitting jumpsuit. The man exuded a confident, if not arrogant, demeanor with his smug smiles and suave-looking eyes. The most prominent feature of this fighter was the circular, whitish-blue, glowing device embedded in the man's chest, almost as if it were a part of him. Another prevalent appearance of the fighter was a suit of high-tech red and gold armor, featuring glowing circles on the palms of his hands and a larger circle, sometimes an upside-down triangle, on the chest of the armor. The golden faceplate of the armor's head displayed glowing rectangles for eyes that emitted a menacing, imposing glare, with black lines shaped in a facsimile of a frown. The man's base appearance did leave some of the female population blushing, Mount Lady and Pixie Bob even licking their lips at how handsome and charming the armored man looked. Though others like Yaoyorozu Ryukyu and Jiro held raised eyebrows at how arrogant he also looked. The boys, meanwhile, were split between rolling their eyes jealously or gazing at him with respect and admiration for his confidence, Izuku and Bakuga being among the latter, even if begrudgingly from the ash-blonde one. Iron Man. Rocking music played as the video began, showing the fighter being suited up in his iconic armor. There are the talented, there are the prodigies, and then there's Anthony Edward Stark, was introduced dramatically with the rocking music playing on every pause. Please, he prefers Tony, Boomstick corrected. That was so sick. Tetsu exclaimed, grinning widely. Dude's practically radiating aura. Kaminari agreed. Ahem. Melissa fake coughed as she raised her hand in a gimme motion at Izuku without looking. Copying her laser-like focus and keeping his eyes on the screen, Izuku handed her an empty notebook he suspected would be full by the time this video was over. Can't I get one too, Muscles? May whined and pleaded. No, Izuku and Melissa said in unison. But no. The two cut her off more forcibly, knowing all too well what havoc the pink-haired inventor could cause if released from her extra-tight restraints. May whined again, pouting like a sad puppy that had admittedly shaken Izuku's stance. Yet the green-haired teen sat firm. Focus on tech fighter first, make up to her later, Izuku thought. Figure out my feelings for her and the others. Also later. Howard and Maria Stark ruled a $9 billion military tech empire, Stark Industries. Wiz introduced the pair and their company. Excuse me, $9 billion. Uraraka gasped, eyes comically about to pop out of her skull. That's even more than Batman's net worth, Azui mentioned. When she heard the sound of a thud, she turned to see that Ochako had fainted. Oops. They could have anything they ever wanted except a child, Wiz said. Hisses and looks of discomfort and pity were exchanged among the group, many sending sympathetic glances to the unfortunate couple. Endeavor looked down as his thoughts turned to his wife and children. Compared to the struggling Starks, the new #1 hero felt blessed with the 4 children he had with Rey. Yet that blessing turned bitter and weighed heavily with shame when he remembered that he had decided to have kids with Rey, and his wife had barely had a say in the matter, other than silent obedience to his demands. Endeavor never thought to ask her about whether she wanted more kids after Tuya and Fuyumi. He forced the decision on her after Tuya's unfortunate side effects to his quirk and Fuyumi's ice quirk not being what he wanted in a child to succeed him. Then Natsuo was born and failed. Endeavor shook his head before that thought continued, unwilling to call his son a failure for a selfish cause like Enji Todoroki wanted. In any case, Natsuo didn't get the quirk he wanted either, so he and Rei tried again. Under Endeavor's orders, and Rei could do nothing but silently acquiesce to his wishes without having any say of her own once more. That was when they had Shoto, the perfect child to succeed him. But in the end, Endeavor sacrificed a happy, united family. His eldest son was dead. His second son hated him and did everything he could to alienate himself from him. His only daughter struggled to hold what little family they had left together in vain. His youngest still bore a grudge against him despite their improving relationship, and Rei was still in that mental hospital due to an anxiety-induced terror caused by the husband who should have protected and loved her. A husband who treated her like a prize and married her out of duty rather than love. If only things were different, Endeavor thought remorsefully. If only we had both decided to have our children rather than because of my obsession. If only I didn't treat our children like they were pawns in my sick game. If only I didn't ignore and cast aside our son. Endeavor's mind conjured an image of his family together, all alive and well and smiling. Tuya would be a young adult with his own life, Natsuo grinning happily next to him, Fuyumi peaceful and happy, Rei beside her children, content and joyful, and Shoto, unscarred and smiling. A family image never meant to be. Toshinori stared downward as his thoughts turned to his past. When it came to legacy, All Might never had an issue with that. He was Japan's longest-running #1 hero, the world's symbol of peace and justice, who inspired heroes worldwide and made criminals shake in their boots and run scared. All that was before he even got to the topic of a successor to carry on that legacy through One for All. His actions as a hero reshaped the world and saved countless lives, all a noble and regretless achievement. But when Toshinori Yagi reflected on his personal life, the life of the man he was, rather than the hero everyone perceived him to be, he saw little to reminisce fondly about. He had no wife, no children, and all his immediate family was gone, leaving him with only Melissa as a surrogate niece and goddaughter. Although he maintained the image of the ever-smiling and idolized symbol of peace, his circle of friends was quite small, with his greatest confidants being David, Nizu, Tsukachi, Gran Torino, Recovery Girl and Night Eye. This was a respectable group, but it did not provide much companionship. Nizu was busy fulfilling his duties as UA's principal and an unwavering voice in hero politics. Tsukachi was typically occupied with his work as a detective. David usually spent his time at I Island with Melissa. Recovery Girl and Gran Torino were both too old, Their words, not his, to give him the attention he needed, and the latter of the two had too much baggage with Nana to have a proper conversation with. Meanwhile, Mirai was no longer present. In truth, All Might did this to himself. His fear of All for one, his stubborn desire to prevent another demon lord from rising, and continuing to be the symbol of peace well past his injury, they left him not only in this broken state, but lonely. That was until Midoriya. Toshinori couldn't help but notice that his life took a drastic turn the day he met his future successor. Suddenly, the bitterness and weariness in his soul were gradually lifted by the presence of his greatest fanboy. He felt invigorated like never before, training his protege, bonding with the boy, and when he began teaching at UA. He genuinely enjoyed and loved teaching the next generation of heroes to follow his example and teachings despite various missteps. But, more personally, having Midoriya around, Toshinori began to view the boy not just as his successor, but as the son he never had, someone he would go to the ends of the earth to protect. Before long, Inko came into his life, and he felt a sensation he had never experienced quite the same way as he did with her. Nana was like a mother to him, Izuku was like a son, and he cared for everyone he protected and saved. But Inko brought out a new sense of love that he had long ignored. Learning how to cook, talking, and even simply being with her gave him peace and respite without end, making him feel like a better man and person with her. Toshinori smiled, staring down at Izuku, ever grateful to have found the boy who had turned his life around, who had saved him from a life of personal loneliness, and made him feel what it's like to have a family. Then Howard met an alien who decided to build a baby for them. Boomstick revealed, dramatically, showing the Starks discussing with a robotic alien, Rigelian Recorder 451, about helping them with their child problems. Come again. Kendo blinked at the sudden turn. Is that an alien robot? Kaminari asked, scratching his head. May grinned widely at the sight of not only an alien robot, a concept that was already super exciting to hear, but one that could actually build a human baby, almost as if it were something that could be done like her tech babies. Fearing humanity would perish to more advanced alien races, this child was genetically engineered to lead the world to a new tech age, was explained the thought process behind their intentions. That was Arno Stark. We don't speak of him. The screen showed Arno Stark, a pale, thin, sickly-looking man in a hospital bed. May's enthusiasm quickly dropped, along with her smile. Okay, maybe I'll stick to project. Flesh babies the old-fashioned way, May decided, her mind drawing up possibilities of what children she and Muscles could create. Endeavor flinched as Arno Stark reminded him of Tuya like a slap to the face. While Tuya wasn't so sick that he seemed perpetually stuck to a hospital bed, he was far more prone to illness than his other three children. Freilier as time went on that he was shorter than his younger sibling, Natsuo, and his body was unfit for his powerful fire quirk, suited more quirk-like rays. He saw Howard Stark foolishly trying to create and impose a purpose on this child without considering what the child would want for their future, and saw it backfire in his face, just as it had for Enji. When Howard and Maria were disappointed with what they created, they adopted Tony instead, was revealed. Yep, that's the secret origin of Tony Stark, Boomstick said, displaying Tony's shocked face for emphasis. Didn't see that coming, did ya? Wait, so he's adopted? Kaminari scratched his head, confused. But he looks like a carbon copy of his dad. Coincidence, I guess, Zero shrugged. Background. Real name: Anthony Edward Stark. Aliases: The Invincible Iron Man, Armored Avenger, Shellhead, Master of Machines. Height: 6 feet 1 inch / 185 centimeters. Weight: 225 pounds / 182 kilograms. Estimated net worth: $9.3 billion. Owner of Area 51. Claims to have beaten Mr. Fantastic in chess twice. Despite not being the alien-engineered child of Prodigy, Tony's gifted intelligence and world-changing destiny were obvious at an early age, was explained. He graduated from MIT with top honors, and a physics and engineering double major when he was just 19 years old. Impressive, David said, smiling and nodding with respect. But since this is a superhero origin, it wasn't long before tragedy struck, Boomstick mentioned. And by struck I mean a car crash, and by tragedy I mean his parents. Yeah, just a car crash. Boomstick's awkward tone coincided with a scene of the Winter Soldier gunning down and murdering the Starks. Oh no, Pony gasped, horrified. Bakugo felt a dreadful twist in his stomach. He did not know why. In the blink of an eye, he saw his father and mother, Masaru and Mitsuki Bakugo, in the Stark's place. And then back to normal one quick blink later. This unexplained event drew a sense of fear and anger that Bakugo was unfamiliar with and hated. And thus, he tried to banish it from his mind before he could ponder further why it happened to begin with. Izuku patted Kuta's back when he saw the boy slightly tremble with familiar pain. If what the video said was true, and the Stark's accident was a murder by some assassin, it only furthered the comparison with Kuta, his parents, the water hose heroes, and muscular. Kuta said nothing to Izuku's comfort and wordlessly leaned back onto Deka's hand. And so Izuku continued. So, all of a sudden, Tony was an orphan. But on the bright side, it also made him the sole heir of Stark Industries, Boomstick pointed out. Nice. Not the word I would use, Momo frowned, knowing that if her parents were tragically taken from her, the family fortune and company that was the Yaoyorozu conglomerate would be of little comfort to her. With the entire family fortune at his fingertips, Tony pursued a life of reckless indulgence and mechanical tinkering. We summarized Tony's life with scenes of drinking, making out with an attractive blonde, and engineering. War was his income, and he enjoyed every bit of it. A scene was played of Tony presenting the Jericho missile. Mineta's old instincts surged with jealousy before the purple grape-headed teen stamped it out. His mind was still fresh with the uncomfortable retrospective he faced during the Guts vs. Nightmare fight last video, and he did not wish to suddenly go back on his word and start fuming and whining about Stark's luck with beautiful women when he promised himself to change. Plus, Mineta could very well see what Tony's actions were, masking his personal pain by acting in ways he thinks will give him comfort and numb the pain, Mineta thought. His mind recalling his perverted, shameless actions and his deep insecurities. That is quite the powerful missile, Power Loader muttered grimly. His inventor mind drawing up the destruction it could bring to civilians and soldiers alike. Melissa and David flinched when hearing of one of Stark's ways of passing his time. The father and daughter recalled how they acted during their respective traumatic events. While David tried to be there for his baby girl after her mother's death, he also found himself absorbed into his work, trying to numb reality and the outside world that no longer held his loving wife. He eventually got over it, but it still left a shameful mark on him and his duty as a father, only truly coming out of it when his daughter was declared quirkless. Melissa frowned as she remembered sadly the day she was told she was quirkless, when her dream first died. All her dreams of being a hero like her father and Uncle might, the chance to follow their example and save people less fortunate than her, crumbled before her eyes when she was told she would never manifest a quirk of her own. She remembered drifting aimlessly, her soul crushed to pieces, and her father her only comfort. That was until she took up the hammer. When she first started inventing, she felt in her element and quickly reached the same heights and passion for creating support items as her father. It felt like she was finally in a place where she belonged, a path she could follow and make her own, and a way to continue on and still achieve her dream of helping people in her own way. Sure, there were times where she faltered and drifted, but she always found a way to get back on track. Her desire to live up to her father's and Uncle Mite's legacy refueling her fire and banishing away the doubts she and others put on her. And now, Melissa found herself learning about worlds with heroes that didn't have superpowers of their own like Batman. Suddenly, her old dream of being a hero didn't feel so dead and gone. Until the day his eyes were opened, Liz said. Yeah, opened with a shrapnel-filled irony bomb. Boomstick chuckled. In a war zone, Tony sees a missile with his company logo land in front of him. The man attempted to get away from it, but the weapon detonated, knocking him to the ground. Not every day someone gets blown up with a missile with their name on it, Setsuna said with a short, surprised chuckle. Karma at its finest, Kurwaro muttered. Held captive by terrorists in Afghanistan, Tony learned the bomb left shrapnel in his heart, which would kill him in a week, was disclosed. The terrorists gave Tony an ultimatum: construct weapons for them and receive treatment, or be left to die. Jesus, Toshinori cursed, rubbing his side where All for One's wound nearly left him on death's doorstep, and he barely escaped with a missing lung and his stomach destroyed. David flinched again, this time thinking about the mess he had almost put himself in. The I-Island incident. Not only did he sneak him a mercenary group inside a UA to steal the quirk amplification device under his boss's noses, but then they double-crossed him and nearly kidnapped him, with All Might, Midoriya, Melissa, and the other one as students being the reason he was saved and Wolfram and his crew defeated. David wondered if this was what Wolfram would have him do if he were successful in taking him away. But being Tony Stark, he chose door number 3. Boomstick unveiled, showing the changing Stark hammering on a piece of metal, creating his pacemaker and a silver metal suit of armor. He built a space-age pacemaker to save his own life, and then built a mech suit around it and murdered his way to freedom, forging one's own future rather than accepting the hand fate deals one. Admirable, Nizu commented with a smirk. Melissa's eyes began to widen ever larger as a spark of inspiration dawned upon seeing Stark create his first suit of armor. This taught Stark one of life's most important lessons. Heroes aren't born. Boomstick began dramatically. The scene played where Tony placed his suit's mask onto a table in front of Yen Shin. They're built. Those words, alongside Nizu's, rang inspirationally in the students' hearts, but none more so than Melissa's shield, Izuku Midoriya, and Katsuki Bakugu. It was only recently that Bakugu realized he was never truly hero material for most of his life. Despite the praise and glorification from his classmates, teachers, and even other pros after the sludge villain incident, Bakugu acted more like a villain than a hero. He bullied Deku ruthlessly for the crime of getting in his way, and messing up his origin story, projecting his inner insecurities by beating and exploding the nerd for having the heart of a hero stronger than his own. He continued this treatment and attitude toward his childhood friend until his own worst day ever. Kamino Ward. He was captured by the League of Villains, leading to a series of events that ended in All Might's retirement. The number one hero had told him many times that this was always going to be inevitable, but Bakugu felt his capture was the final nail in the coffin, that the world would have had their symbol of peace for longer if Bakugu hadn't been so weak as to let himself get captured. It took failing the provisional licensing exam and a forced fight with Deku for him to see the truth. He wasn't wrong to think that being strong made an unstoppable hero, but Deku had something that Bakugu had always lacked: the heart of a hero. While the nerd he once saw as worthless gained the strength and power to support his heroic heart, Bakugu lagged behind without the true soul of a hero, relying only on talent and strength. Not only was it not enough, but as he reflected on his past actions, especially over these last few days, Bakugu realized he acted more like a villain than a hero, a bully and thug rather than a protector and savior. Now Bakugu has been working overtime to correct this. He passed his remedial licensing course and got his provisional license. He helped getting Eri to smile in Culture Festival and proving those doubters from General Course wrong about him and his class. He aced his joint battle training exercise by being a team player, and now trying to work through his nerves and issues to finally do the one thing he never thought he would do: try and apologize to Izuku, and brace for the inevitable fallout to come when everyone learns the truth. Izuku was also left contemplative about those words. For so long, everyone believed he could never be a hero because he didn't have a quirk and was treated as lesser for not being born hero material, unlike Bakugu, who seemed gifted from birth to be an amazing hero, quirk and all. All he had were his mind and notebooks, which everyone called creepy and useless. A mother who meant well but didn't provide the support he needed, and a father who abandoned him and his mother because he was quirkless. It felt like his life was destined from birth and fate to be one of insignificance, one that took a backseat to the next life, where he might have a better quirk. Then All Might appeared, and before Izuku knew it, he was thrust into a life unlike his previous one. He was trained in secret by the number one hero to take his place in quirk, honed his body until there was no way anyone would call him scrawny again, entered his dream school and made friends for the first time, stood up and won against his childhood bully, defeating all manner of villains and criminals, saved the lives of his classmates, civilians, and especially Eri and Kuta, and made one for all his own, only continuing to become the hero he always wanted to be. I may not have been born hero material, but I built myself into one, Izuku realized determinedly, recalling his mighty roar atop the last pile of Dagoba Beach trash, vowing never to stop making that phrase a reality and become the hero he wanted to be. A symbol of hope. A jaw dropped slowly. The eyes of the blonde girl with her mouth agape widened to their fullest as a light began twinkling and burning within. Not born, built, Melissa repeated like a mantra in her head. Suddenly, everything began to click. She felt a sea of possibilities narrowing into a river, precise and purposeful, a mind full of equations and problems met with concrete answers, a future unclear and aimless, lit anew with a clear purpose and goal. All of it coalescing into the same suit of armor she saw in front of her. A lesson which also made for a pretty sweet tagline. Mark 1 Iron Man stomped his way out of the cave and met the 10-ring terrorists. My turn. Iron Man thrust his hands forward, unleashing fire on his captors. The scene followed with terrorists running for their lives, explosions everywhere, and Iron Man blasting off to freedom with rocket-propelled feet. Manly. Kirishima and Tetsu roared out with their full chest. You know what, I'll allow that too. Jiro reluctantly forgave the two hardheads for yelling out loudly again, if only because she agreed how cool Stark was right now. Todoroki's brows raised, witnessing Stark fire flamethrowers at the group of terrorists, earning a nod of respect from him for ridding the world of them. But Tony's heart was changed in more ways than one that day, was continued. Upon returning to America, he nullified all weapons development at Stark Industries and dedicated his life to saving the world in his own way. A crucible of iron and fire, forging a new man and a new future, Edgeshot poetically said. Do you have these written down in some notebook like Midoriya or something? Hawks questioned amusingly. Yeah, we're not talking like just donating to charity and being kind to your neighbor, Boomstick noted, Tony shown hammering another, more advanced suit of armor. Tony became a one-man army of justice and began creating a new and improved armored suit that the public would eventually dub Iron Man. So, he's also like Batman, a rich billionaire using technology to be a hero, Nijire summarized and compared. That's so cool. It really is, Izuku agreed, smiling at seeing another quirkless hero. And then he made another one and another one and another, and then he made like a shitload more. Boomstick exclaimed as with every swing of Tony's hammer, a metaphorical vision of another suit emerged until a later scene showed an entire warehouse full of different armored suits in varying shapes, sizes and colors. So many babies. May howled as she began struggling out of her bounds with crazed strength renewed, forcing Izuku and the others to begin tightening and restraining her further. Amazing, Powerloader muttered, finding his own excavation mech suit suddenly beyond obsolete. Damn, the guy's like a one-man army, Zero exclaimed. This is it. The answer. Melissa's eyes blazed with a fire turned into an inferno as he hands blazed through page after page of her newly acquired notebook, plans, equations, and rough sketches of the Iron Man suits quickly being written down and copied. Where Batman reignited her passion for being a hero, perhaps their world's first quirkless hero, Iron Man set it ablaze with passion as she realized just how she could achieve that dream. Using technology not only to help heroes with their support items, but to use that same tech and skill I crafted for something more. A hero that can soar without wings, a hero without a quirk, but not powerless. All the while, as Melissa began filling pages with ideas, schematics, and drawings, David watched with amazed eyes that turned soft. His mouth turned into a soft, proud smile. Iron Man armor, composed of a gold titanium alloy, adds 5 inches to Tony's height, yet only weighs 25 pounds, capable of high-speed flight, super strength, and enhanced durability. Standard weaponry, repulsor rays, smart missiles, anti-tank missiles, unibeam. The Iron Man suits are numerous, but they typically come with a common base set of tools, was elaborated, with every subsequent mention followed up with an example scene. Generally composed of a gold titanium alloy, His standard suits have the strength to lift up to 100 tons, fly at supersonic speeds, and come with an onboard intelligence system called JRVAS, which controls his weaponry, and can summon other suits at his beck and call. Artificial intelligence, too? David gasped in wonder. With such a useful system, Stark could summon his other suits should his current one fail or break down. Wouldn't that go against the no outside help rule? Pixie Bob questioned. Not if it's an artificial intelligence tied to his suits that he created, Power Loader answered. And for good measure, these babies come loaded head to toe with weaponry. Boomstick jumped back in. I'm talking shoulder-mounted darts, anti-tank missiles, and EMP, and the Iron Man staple, laser beams. These repulsor blasts draw power directly from the reactor in Tony's chest or chest piece, depending on the time period, to fire high-mass, negatively charged muons as a concussive energy attack, was explained while Iron Man fired his trademark repulsor beams at asteroids, robots, and other enemies. Most commonly, these are fired from the palms of his suit. Those shoulder-mounted darts and anti-tank missiles would be excellent for breaking through tough enemy defenses like a hardening or fortifying quirk, Momo analyzed. The EMP would also be useful in shutting down enemy technology or weapon systems, including bombs or missiles. Those repulsor blasts appear to be strong enough to destroy meteorites, yet also non-lethal enough to act as a physical deterrent against common enemies, David Shield noted. The difference between their strength likely comes from how much energy Stark puts into those beams. However, there is the issue of this energy coming from Stark's chest piece reactor, Endeavor pointed out. If it's the same reactor acting as a pacemaker to keep that metal shrapnel from his heart, then using up that energy risks his health. You mean like overheating yourself with your quirk? Hawks asked. Precisely, Endeavor nodded. Wow, how he flies and fights is like a metal suit version of me, Nijire exclaimed, analyzing Iron Man's movements to copy for herself. Yeah, and kinda like you too, huh, Baku bro? Kirishima pointed out, nudging Bakuga's side. I mean, you can't use your explosions on your feet, but the way he flies with those thrusters and repulsors he uses to fight is like you and your quirk. Hell, those repulsor beams are kinda like your AP shot. Whatever, Bakuga scoffed. Yet he didn't truly dismiss Kirishima's comparison. In truth, Bakuga was dissecting Iron Man's toolkit and flight pattern and how it mimicked and improved on his own, begrudgingly enough. Kirishima was right that Bakuga couldn't unleash his explosions from his feet. I can zoom eyes and girl Deku work on my boots to act like weird eyes. Rather than firing acid, maybe they could make a layer housing my nitroglycerin sweat that, with a command, will heat up and mimic my propulsion for sustained flight. Would save my arms some trouble. While Bakuga contemplated this, he remained oblivious to the dirty look he and Kirishima were given by Nijire. Her good mood spoiled by being inadvertently compared to someone she was rapidly suspecting of being her Zuzu's bully. Hey, Heido! Nijire snapped from her dirty glare to look at Melissa, who had asked for her. Yeah, Melissa. Oh, and please no Heido. It's Nijire or Nijire-chan to you and the others. Nijire replied, her cheerful nature returning. All right, Melissa chuckled embarrassingly, rubbing the back of her neck. I wanted to talk to you about something. Melissa then came up to Nijire's ear and started whispering. Nijire's eyes widened as time passed, and her agape mouth began to rise in a wide grin. Oh ho ho, that's so cool, Nijire quietly exclaimed. Sure thing, girl. Thanks. Melissa smiled, returning to her seat. Izuku raised an eyebrow at seeing the two girls interact, wondering what that was about. Could they be talking about the sisterhood? Izuku's cheeks blushed, remembering they were both among the girls who liked him. Or is it about something else? Izuku noticed Melissa's smile and enthusiasm becoming brighter throughout this video. Izuku looked back at Iron Man on the screen and forth toward Melissa. Does it have to do with the comparison Nijire pointed out? For what reason? To make a new support item for Nijire. But if the situation calls for a bit more firepower, he can blast an even larger beam directly from his chest piece. Boomstick noted. Uni-beam. Iron Man fired a massive blast of energy from his chest. That's so cool. Kuta yelled with stars in his eyes. I must admit, even I find myself jealous of such a magnifique beam. Aoyama lamented dramatically. It's like a chest Kamehameha, Mirio chuckled. It must be one of Iron Man's ultimate moves that likely drains a lot more energy than normally, Amajiki muttered. If used recklessly, it could drain his reactor's energy too quickly. All of these features come standard in his most often used suit, Model 13, the modular armor, which displayed the most iconic and often displayed Iron Man suit. This armor specializes in adaptability, allowing Tony to swap out its individual pieces for one suited to the mission at hand. Boomstick explained Model 13's purpose and strength, including showing the modular armor being replaced by other specialized suits. Smart. Ectoplasm nodded. With as many suits as he has designed for specific situations, it would make sense for his base suit to be made to incorporate or easily replace itself with those other suits. Though, unless he has some kind of teleportation device to call up those suits, he would have to have those extra suits be super close or be really hecking fast to reach wherever he is, Snipe pointed out. Oh, and it also has an extra casing known as Iron Man Armor Model 14, but you can just call it HULKBSR. Boomstick revealed the larger, bulkier armored suit. Hulk Buster. Ibra raised a brow. As in the same Hulk mentioned in the previous Marvel-related videos. I believe so, Jirota nodded. As the name implies, this upgrade was built to contend with one of the universe's strongest beings, was said, as MCU Iron Man stood against the Hulk and was being doubly armored by the behemoth of an armor. With a combination of magnetic and hydraulic technology, in addition to the strength of the modular armor, the Hulkbuster can deliver far more powerful punches and hold its ground against the Incredible Hulk, who is strong enough to lift a 150 billion-ton mountain. What? Mineta squeaked, his eyes bulging so comically out of their sockets, the others thought they would pop off like one of his pop-off balls. If that feat is to be taken seriously, David muttered, a drop of sweat rolling down his frightened brow. He's leagues stronger than even I in my prime, Toshinori finished his best friend's sentence. He might even be stronger than Midoriya when he reaches his prime, too. But his most advanced armor yet comes in the form of his Endosim armor, Boomstick noted. The Endosim shown as a sleek silver-white armor with neon blue repulsor circles and lines across the body, oftentimes with Tony's face and hair visible. Part metal, part scary, space, alien parasite, Tony can summon it telepathically, use it to imprison his foes, and even suck up electromagnetic fields. Electricity. A suit that can be telepathically called and form like liquid metal. Melissa's eyes widened as she looked at Izuku. If I used the same technology one used to create the full gauntlet. The idea once more became a hurricane of possibilities that she attempted to express in her notebook, all the while imagining an Iron Man, or perhaps Iron Woman, suit of her own made of nanotechnology, self-repair, and weapon formation similar to that of a shape-shifting quirk. It can take hits from Storm's lightning and shoot repulsor beams so powerful they can injure metahumans who are normally able to absorb energy, was detailed. Shit, Kaminari cursed. Whatever hope he had about being able to absorb whatever electricity could be in those repulsor beams was tossed out the window. If they're that powerful, I wonder if I can even redirect them. Hagakure pondered, not exactly eager to try and find out the painful way. Although Tony is a mere man who finds himself fighting with and against unimaginably powerful beings, he has proven time and time again that technology can compete with the world's greatest superheroes, Boomstick said. Feats. Down She-Hulk with one punch. Can hold his own against Captain America in hand-to-hand combat. Can achieve warp speed flight. Tanks hits from Mjolnir. Strong enough to bend metal girders with his suit's hands. Lifts up cars with one hand. First human to possess the reality-warping Infinity Gauntlet. He can survive blows from Thor's hammer, hold his own against Captain America, and move faster than an extremis enhanced superhumans I can track. Was listed some of Iron Man's greatest feats. Melissa, May, David, and Power Loader all grinned at the statement, while many in the group felt their worldview shifting off its axis. Already, they had to challenge their notions when introduced to the Batman, but the strength and power behind Iron Man only further cracked many of their prior assumptions and feelings about strength because of their quirks. Izuku and All Might likewise smiled at seeing the power and feats of another quirkless man, and proving quirks are not the end, all requirement to be a hero, but tools to be used like one's mind and body. I have to say the words to him soon, Toshinori thought, determined. Even if he doesn't hold any ill will about the past, even if he has a quirk now, I have to say to him just how wrong I was. Bakugo flinched further with every new and impressive feat out of the armor-wearing man, each a slap to the face of his previous worldview about strength and worth. Not to mention, his suit can actually learn and predict its opponent's next move and withstand the fury of several nuclear bombs. Boomstick joined in. Do not underestimate the Golden Avenger. So, it basically can do what Midoriya is naturally capable of doing, Todoroki said. Come on, Todoroki, I'm not that good at analyzing you guys. Izuku disagreed, scratching his cheek. Whether or not you admit it, Midoriya, if the suit can predict how a person can fight, then that other fighter will have to finish off Iron Man as fast as possible before the suit can predict his every move, Azui croaked. That being said, for all their power, the Iron Man suits are hardly flawless, was clarified. An example shown being Tony slamming uncontrollably between walls from his malfunctioning suit. They've been known to malfunction in life-threatening ways, and consume too much power too quickly, leaving Tony helpless, Boomstick added. If Aizawa were here, he would say it is no different than a quirk, and that you students should work to improve your bodies and minds as much as your quirks should they become useless or disabled, Vlad King informed. Although, I guess this means that even if the suits run out of power, Stark's reactor won't shut off too, Miruko noted. He may have a failsafe implemented into his suits and reactor to consume only as much energy as is available without compromising the chest reactor's main function, Ryukyu explained. Tony frequently pushes his suit and his body to their absolute limits, and past them, and his reckless head-first mentality is responsible for landing him in trouble just as much as it is for getting him out of it, was pointed out. This has led to him setting off a civil war between superheroes, twice persuading Spider-Man to reveal his identity as a publicity boost, only to have that backfire when villains tried killing Peter's Aunt May, and pissing off the all-powerful Phoenix Force into killing Charles Xavier. What? Charles? But he's the Iron Man. Boomstick exclaimed in shock before whining sadly. Izuku clenched his fist when he heard what had happened to his counterpart's aunt, guilt and anger welling up in equal measure for Spider-Man's decision, which caused the woman's attack, and towards Stark for convincing his counterpart into these actions in the first place. I'm guessing this Xavier was someone important in their world, Mandalay figured, gazing sadly at the dead old man. But there again is that Phoenix Force, the same one from the Thor video, Momo mentioned, grabbing Izuku's notebook and flipping to Thor's page. From what they said in his video, the Phoenix Force was one of Thor's potential true mothers alongside Gia. Wait, Thor's mother is potentially that? Uraraka questioned loudly while pointing at an image of a giant fiery cosmic bird. Most disturbing of all, Wizard said Iron Man was responsible for setting off a war between other superheroes. Cementos frowned heavily. And it appears one of those instances was against Captain America. A war between heroes, Toshinori muttered despondently. Sure, the heroes of their society had no qualms stepping over each other when it came to boosting their ranks in the hero billboard charts. The more work and recognition a hero gets, the more they are paid and famous they become. It is an unfortunate aspect of hero society where healthy competition could spiral into hated rivalry. Hell, even the hero students faced a taste of this during the sports festival and against each other in their battle training exercises. However, it was another thing altogether imagining heroes turning and fighting on one another. Toshinori can imagine All for One and Shigaraki laughing their evil asses off while their greatest enemies destroyed themselves, leaving them weak and off guard. And he once built a device capable of releasing 20,000 megatons of atomic energy. Was added. That's 3 times more than all of the Earth's known nuclear weapons combined. And then he just blasted it straight into the ground. Boomstick chuckled, flabbergasted. All because he wanted to see what was at the Earth's core. I'm sorry, what? 13 blinked inside her suit at the sheer absurdity behind Stark's decision. That has to be the most irresponsible, dim-witted, half-brained decision I have ever heard in my life, Ryukyu declared. No arguments here, Miruko agreed. Even I'm not that reckless. It didn't work out, was muttered. Shocking, Yui rolled her eyes, her comment drawing laughs from the other students. He's also had quite the messy love life, ranging from his assistant, Pepper Potts, Janet Van Dyne, the Wasp, the sensation She-Hulk, cousin of the very Hulk he made the Hulkbuster against, and even marrying the mutant telepath Emma Frost, was listed Tony's past flings, under an alias, and divorced shortly afterward. I don't know whether to be impressed or salty as hell. Boomstick muttered jealously. Why not both? Salt-pressed, Mineta asked, his hands clasped together while his inner thoughts were fueled with unbridled jealousy and rage. Okay, he might be about to turn over a new leaf, but he can still feel jealous and angry when a handsome billionaire gains so many hot ladies and then fumbles the bag. Especially with that blonde goddess, with thighs he was sure would be able to crush his head like a grape. But Tony's most diabolical nemesis isn't the magical Mandarin, or even the robotic world-ending menace known as Ultron, was continued, casually listing some of Stark's greatest enemies. It's his lifelong battle with alcoholism. A beer can could be heard opening. Did you say something? Boomstick asked. Of course he wouldn't see a problem with that at all, Jiro groaned. One man's torment is another man's relief, Kaminari said. Shockingly true, even if I disagree with alcoholism being a wise form of coping, Momo commented. A missile from a tank was aimed and fired at Iron Man, who leaned to the side and casually dodged it. Stark turned back to the tank, aimed his wrist at the offending vehicle, and fired an anti-tank missile at it, landing on the tank. Iron Man proceeded to turn and walk away as the tank exploded into flames behind him. So cool! Kuta and Eri cheered. Forget being a one-man army. This guy's a one-man aura factory. Zero cheered. Aura! Momo raised an eyebrow, confused. It's a lingo thing, don't worry your pretty little head, Yamamo, Setsuna replied, patting Momo's head. Momo was still confused, even more wondering what lingo meant, but wisely decided to shut up, and blush at her head being called pretty by her technical sister. The second fighter appeared in two distinct forms, both of which conveyed a sense of shady corporate villainy to the group. Firstly, he was presented as a bald man in either a pristine, expensive suit or a purple, green, and/or black jumpsuit paired with a dark green trench coat. Many group members blinked in surprise at the images showing he was quite muscular. However, the more muscular he became, the more the group noticed his distinct, bulging, oddly colored veins. The bald man's most common expressions ranged from sinister, smug grins and smirks to raging, unhinged scowls. Just as Tony had a suit of armor, it seemed this combatant also possessed a suit of his own. The appearances of this suit varied between two distinct versions. The first was a bulky green and purple suit of armor with large pauldrons on the shoulders, purple gauntlets and boots, black armored elbows, kneecaps and pectorals, alongside 3 yellow hexagons on his chest. The other variant was an even larger, bulkier combat suit that was either rusted green or black and neon blue, both of which dwarfed his opponents in stature. The one thing all these suits shared was the absence of a helmet and the man's visibly evil face. Unlike Stark, the man did not elicit any feelings of admiration, awe, respect, or attraction. The man's looks of uncontrolled rage and conniving smugness left many in the group uneasy and automatically distrustful. If they didn't hear from the beginning that he was the arch-nemesis of Superman, the group's members would have pegged him as a villain. Lex Luthor. Superman is among the most powerful characters in all of fiction, Liz began, recounting one of their previous combatants. He can destroy planets, withstand supernovas, and fly faster than light itself. Smiles were raised as they saw Superman again, the Man of Steel's trademark smile and presence already filling many of the students' hearts with hope and encouragement to be even a fraction of the hero before them. All Might grinned. honored that he could be the counterpart to such a hopeful and powerful symbol of hope like the Kryptonian. What kind of person could possibly be the arch-nemesis to someone like him? Boomstick questioned. You'd have to be a god made of magic kryptonite dash. Wrong! Lex yelled loudly. Aerie squeaked, jumping straight from her bean bag into Dekka's lap in fright. Izuku huffed at the sudden weight on him, yet did not mind, automatically wrapping his arms around his surrogate daughter while glaring at the man who scared her. No, just a mortal man with a passion for business, swindling, and green trench coats, was answered. Lex Luthor. So, the man who stands as Superman's worst enemy is an angry, quirkless man. Monoma scoffed dismissively. He felt a sudden chill but dismissed it, unaware of the cold glares he was receiving from Izuku, Melissa, All Might, David Shield, and even Bakugo. Background. Full name: Alexander Joseph Luthor. Height: 6 feet 2 inches / 188 centimeters. Weight: 210 pounds / 95 kilograms. Immeasurable. Reason for baldness: classified. Former President of the United States. Once acted as his own son via brain transplant to a new body. Really hates Superman. And God. Alexander Joseph Luthor began his rise to the top from the very bottom. Began explaining Lex's backstory. As a child, he lived in a run-down section of Metropolis called the Suicide Slum. Yes, it was that bad. Izuku and Bakugo both flinch at the name, trying to shake away the rather infamous advice the latter gave to the former on that fateful day. Under abusive parents, it was only by sheer willpower that Lex moved on to a better life, was continued. Yeah, willpower and some good old-fashioned social Darwinism, Boomstick chuckled. His parents died in a car crash when their car's brakes failed, leaving Lex alone. Ah, he's an orphan too, Pony began to say before. Don't feel bad for a second, Boomstick exclaimed, interrupting and surprising Pony. He used their life insurance money to get out of the ghetto and start his own company. And he's the one who rigged their brakes. Oh, never mind, Pony muttered, sympathy quickly turning to disgust. I mean, I get that his parents were assholes, but that's no excuse to commit a double homicide, Kamakiri muttered in distaste. Shoto frowned as he recalled all the times in the past when, in moments of emotional weakness, he wished to do the same to his father. If he would just go away, everything would be perfect. Shoto recounted what his younger self believed, and he wasn't wrong to think so. Everything that went wrong with his family was thanks to Endeavor. Tuya's death, his mother's insanity, Natsuo's absence, Fuyumi's sadness, and his scar and abuse. Young Shoto believed if Enji Todoroki disappeared, then his mother would be back, Natsuo would be around more, Fuyumi wouldn't be so sad and alone, and maybe Tuya would magically come back. Yet despite these thoughts, Shoto never acted on them. Fuyumi was always there to comfort him in place of his mother, teaching him right from wrong. And despite their father's faults, killing him and being a murderer were not the answer, nor would it solve their trauma or past. To this day, despite the wounds in his family slowly mending and now free of his grudge against his left side, Shoto always gives thanks to Fuyumi and the memory of his mother as his shining beacons, keeping him from going down a dark path or ending up like his father. Well, them and a certain best friend with green hair. Although founded through some legally questionable means, the infamous Lex Corp successfully spread its influence throughout all of Metropolis, was said, showcasing the infamous company and its L-shaped logo on the building. In time, Lex came to practically run the city itself, taking ownership of nearly every media outlet. Luthor's positive public image went practically unopposed. Hawks couldn't help but glare, comparing these tactics to the HPSC, the Detner app, and Feel Good Incorporated. With the HPSC, they held considerable influence and control over the public's perception of heroes, an influence that was only recently challenged and questioned in recent days and events. Yet, as their agent and new assassin, Hawks was privy to many of the Commission's dirty secrets. They covered up the crimes committed by pro-heroes, silenced would-be threats to the public image and peace, whether through bribery or more permanent means, and even concealed their own dirty laundry, from corrupt officials to the truth of Lady Nagant's incarceration. The current president may say that she disagreed with her predecessor's methods at first, but near absolute power corrupts absolutely. It wasn't long until Hawks had to step into Nagant's old roles, which now featured espionage and risky gambles with the lives of his fellow pros, including Best Jeanist. Then there was Detnerat and Feel Good Incorporated. The former was the company where Redestro served as CEO and president, and the latter was where Skeptic was one of its most influential board members. The latter is a technology and communications company with near control over a majority of their country's communications, and was responsible for covering up the events of Daika City. Combined with curious influence in journalism, at least until she died, she and Skeptic were how the MLA were able to stay under the radar for so long. Add to that the access to support item technology from Detnerat and the political clout from Hanabata aka Trumpet, and you have a cabal of influential businesspeople running a terrorist organization with zero suspicion. But everything changed when the Man of Tomorrow showed up, Boomstick noted. An image of Lex looking behind him to see a glowing-eyed Superman floating just outside his window, angry. That certainly doesn't give your counterpart quite a good look, All Might, Midnight commented. People see what they want to see, Toshinori said. To the people, I was the unstoppable, ever-smiling hero who could do no wrong. But to villains, I was a monster that kept them hiding scared in the shadows. Very astute of you, Toshinori. Nizu nodded in approval. Let us see why Luthor has such a negative outlook on you. In Lex's eyes, Superman was a massive issue for mankind, was explained. If humans no longer had to solve problems themselves, they would surely become a weaker race, completely dependent upon this otherworldly savior. So, because Superman was a good guy, being a hero and helping people, he wanted to kill him? Mount Lady simplified, eyebrow raised. Well, that's stupid. To be honest, I can see what he means, All Might muttered, looking down as he thought about his tenure as the symbol of peace. While he brought about an era of peace and justice, Toshinori could now see how he could have accomplished so much more than punching villains and saving civilians. His unstoppable reputation and presence meant very few heroes bothered to put in the same effort as him, leading them to become lax, selfish and weaker, a problem now faced with his retirement, one he foolishly thought would be easily remedied by shifting all the responsibilities to his successor. Additionally, although his attention was always focused on All for One and other villains, he never took the time to use his influence and charisma as the symbol of peace to improve society socially. He never spoke up against discrimination, particularly toward those with mutant quirks, villainous quirks, or even the quirkless, despite having been one before meeting Nana. And as the saying goes, to be silent often means to be complicit. I may have said pretty words in those talk shows, but I could have done so much more, Toshinori chastised himself. If I had spoken up more honestly about this abhorrent hatred in our society, young Midoriya and Melissa might never have dashed. Toshinori stopped himself, the guilt choking him up. There you go again, putting all the responsibility and guilt onto your shoulders. Toshinori blinked and turned to see Recovery Girl shaking her head fondly. A habit your successor seems to have inherited too. Toshinori flinched. Yeah, All Might muttered, silently cursing himself further for not taking Midoriya aside and building up his self-confidence further and lessening his self-demeaning. I will not lie to you, Toshinori, you could have done better during your time as the symbol of peace, but that does not mean you should diminish the good you've done or take all the blame on yourself, Recovery Girl continued, perking up Toshinori's attention. It wasn't your choice or fault that so many heroes decided to become so lax or selfish. They are their own people who chose to take the easy route and be blinded by the glory of heroism rather than follow your example. Furthermore, just because you did not do all you could do, doesn't mean what you accomplished isn't worth celebrating. If it were not for you, so many people alive today may not be here or come to be at all, including your hero fanboy of a successor. You are still an inspiration to billions, Toshinori, from the moment of your debut to your last smash. Toshinori stared at Recovery Girl, astonished. His eyes contemplated the wisdom of her words and found it true. The former symbol of peace's smile regained its shine and warmth. Though just because you are retired doesn't mean your contributions to this society must end as well. Recovery Girl added. Whoever said you needed a cape and costume to be someone's hero? All Might's head perked up, a light bulb illuminating in his mind. His smile growing ever wider and more hopeful. Throughout all of this, a certain purple-haired girl's jack wiggled sharply. Plus, he's an extreme atheist, was added, showing Lex's angry eyes overshadowing a scene of Superman, in a black version of his suit, with his arms spread out like a certain religious figure basking in the light of the sun. Ibera narrowed her eyes at Lex. While she respected a person's right to their beliefs, even if they contrasted with hers, she could tell that Luthor's hatred of Superman, stemming from his atheism, wouldn't end simply with disapproving thoughts or comments. So, Lex began his crusade to remove him from the equation, and then properly insert himself as the leader of humanity, Boomstick pointed out. A scene showed when Lex was once the US president. So, an atheist with a god complex, Mina said with a frown. Talk about a dangerous combo. David, Melissa, and Pony frowned at the image of Lex being the US president, unhappy that an evil businessman who committed murder and plotted to destroy a hero, and All Might's counterpart at that, would ever run their home country. Lex is a cunning strategist and mechanical genius who prefers to place his opponents in unwinnable situations, was said. However, if physical strength is required, he dons the mighty war suit. Injustice insurgent Lex Luthor hovered down to the battlefield in his war suit. Must I remind you of my superiority? Lex tauntingly asked. And he has a suit of his own, Setsuna frowned. Can't say I'm surprised. Though it looks a lot bulkier than Stark's, May pointed out, her zoom eyes scanning every inch of Lex's suit. It might also have more firepower and require more energy than the Iron Man suits. Warsuit. Culmination of technology from Lex, Darkseid, and Brainiac. Superhuman strength and durability. Flight. Force fields can negate heat vision. Flamethrowers. Energy blade. Energy blast. Includes 4 different kryptonite energy generators in each of the suit's fingers. The Warsuit is a powerful battle armor created by Superman's other arch-nemesis, the alien god known as Darkseid, was revealed, displaying the new god of evil in all his dark glory. And it's been further enhanced by Luthor's own designs, as well as the technology and aid of another Superman villain, Brainiac. Another image had the green-skinned Coluan. Hold up, alien god. Mina raised an eyebrow. Like Thor. I don't think that guy is like Thor, Hagakure muttered, pointing an invisible finger at the ruler of Apocalypse. Toshinori narrowed his eyes at 2 more of his counterparts' known antagonists, a cold shiver running down his spine at seeing Darkseid. Something about him that unsettles me. All Might admitted to himself, probably just as much as, if not more, than All for One. Forged in the fiery pits of the alien world of Apocalypse, Lex's warsuit is no ordinary piece of machinery, Boomstick explained. Despite its less-than-sleek appearance, it comes equipped with force fields, flamethrowers, gauntlet blades, a giant kryptonite axe, and energy blasts powered by kryptonite generators. Those force fields combined with bulk would give Luthor a better defensive advantage against Stark, as well as a physical advantage with the gauntlet blades and axe, Izuku muttered as he wrote in his notebook. The energy blasts and force fields could also cancel out Stark's repulsor beams. While Melissa found it gave her a distaste in her mouth, she couldn't help but write down some notes on Lex's warsuit in her notebook, contemplating what part of these would mesh well with her preliminary designs for her Iron Man-like armor. It can also fly and has enough strength and durability to go up against Superman himself, was added. Okay, that's admittedly impressive, Miruko shrugged. The use of kryptonite and technology from Darkseid and Brainiac must be a huge contributing factor, Ryukyu analyzed. Kryptonite was shown to greatly weaken Kryptonians like Superman, so constant exposure to a weaponized version would be detrimental to him. Despite how capable the warsuit is, you may feel it has an obvious weak spot, the giant hole where his head is, Boomstick pointed out. But old Q-Ball's chrome dome is actually protected by an invisible force field. He just wants his opponents to know exactly who's beating the shit out of them. Hello, sunshine, Lex said, smiling evilly. Talk about classic villain arrogance, Vlad King growled. And a detrimental one in the long run, David Shield added. If he had more sense to cover up his face, he could be able to allocate his force field more evenly and rationally to the entire suit. Although there could be some strategy to it, Power Loader pointed out. Enemies would likely try to attack his head and be left off guard when it fails. I can see a sniper trying to fire at his head only to fail and thus give away his position. Yeah, but that also loses the element of surprise, May argued. I can respect wanting to show off your baby as much as the next girl. But if people know you have a force field, then they'll try to specifically target or disable it. I'm not sure what's more annoying, that bastard's smug grin or those supposed geniuses arguing on and on about a guy showing off his bald head. Bakugu grumbled. I would have thought you would appreciate another guy's smug grin. Setsuna grinned teasingly. Isn't that why you and Monoma are such good friends? That arrogant bastard is not my friend, Bakugu and Monoma said in unison. The two looked at each other in surprise. Stop copying me. Me. You're the copycat. You blowhard 1B extra. Oh, precious coming from you. You arrogant 1A upstart. Happy now. Itsuka narrowed her eyes at Setsuna, who whistled innocently. Lex's weaponry goes beyond an alien metal suit, Wiz continued. In addition to his brilliant strategic mind, he's also surrounded the Earth with dozens of satellites bearing his name. Their purpose? A giant game of space laser hot potato. Boomstick answered his own question. Cut to a scene of Lex typing a command on his wrist gauntlet. One of Lex's satellites fired down a massive red laser directly into the Warsut's hands. The energy built up and progressively grew into a large ball of red energy. Lex roared in fury as he tossed the laser orb at the Joker, resulting in a massive explosion visible from space. Talk about overkill, Sun muttered wide-eyed. When your biggest enemy is a guy who could punch and move planets, I think overkill is needed, Aways argued. Hawks grumbled, Lex's satellites reminding him again of the communication satellite skeptic has easy access to through Feel Good Incorporated. Thankfully, none of those are equipped to laser nuke us, Hawks thought. Feats. Mental resistance to mind control surpasses even Deathstroke. Frequently and fearlessly goes up against Kryptonians. Defeated Nightwing and Batman in hand-to-hand combat. Impaled the super-durable Supergirl. Solved the anti-life equation. Should only be possible for a 12th level intellect. Only known 12th level is Brainiac 5. Being a genius multi-billionaire, it's no surprise Lex's accomplishments match the expectations. Wiz began listing Lex's accomplishments. He's equaled Deathstroke in combat and even beaten both Batman and Nightwing. He stabbed Supergirl, snapped Brainiac's neck, and defeated Power Girl in a single stroke. Miruko raised an eyebrow, begrudgingly respecting the villain for being able to match the likes of Batman and Deathstroke in combat. Not sure who that Nightwing guy is, but if he's listed with Batman, he's got to be quite the martial arts master too, Miruko thought before her eyes trailed downward. And he's got quite the killer ass there. Toshinori glared at Lex's feat of stabbing Supergirl, whose name is clearly a direct reference to his counterpart and whose blonde blue eyes and young age made the retired pro's eyes drift down toward his surrogate niece, only making his fury rise. You can't blame him, Boomstick said, his smirk audibly evident while displaying Lex defeating the impressively busty Kryptonian. I don't think anyone could handle more than a single stroke with Power Girl dash. Mineta smacked his cheeks and shook his head, trying to rid himself of the perverse, intrusive thoughts surging at the sight of Power Girl as her magnificent, glorious giant boo assets. Damn, look at those cannons, Mina muttered, inspecting closely at Melissa's, Momo's, and Nijire's assets. I think she might be bigger than you gals. Of course, just as I am turning over a new leaf, the universe has to torture me with the classic double standard, Mineta whined internally. However, Wiz groaned out, interrupting his lewder co-host. Lex is not solely dependent on his warsuit. He sometimes subjects himself to a kryptonite steroid, which has made him much stronger than an ordinary human. capable of surviving wounds nobody reasonably should. So, where Stark had to create that pacemaker to save his own life, Lex risked his by injecting himself with a steroid made of kryptonite for power, Cementos commented with narrowed eyes. That probably doesn't seem healthy, Snipe muttered. Oh, it most certainly isn't, Recovery Girl grumbled. Yeah, like the time when a giant gorilla shot him in the chest with a sniper rifle, knocking him out of a helicopter off the edge of a cliff and landing headfirst into a canyon. Boomstick pointed out the absurd situation of this particular feat. He was up and banging his robot chick in like a day. I would say I am surprised how he survived that, but I'm actually more surprised why a gorilla had a sniper rifle, Ojiro muttered, comically sweat dropping. At this point, just roll with it, Shoji replied. Wait, hold up, slow it down for a second. Kaminari raised his hand. He was banging what? Oh yeah. He built a robot version of Lois Lane for, sex and murder. An image showed Robolois's sides expanding to reveal an arsenal of robotic weaponry. Because Lex always wants what he cannot have, was said. That is disturbing, Azui croaked, disgusted. Wait, isn't Lois Lane's counterpart Midobro's Mina slapped a hand over Kirishima's mouth before he could finish, but the damage was already done. Izuku's disgust quickly morphed into a murderous glare that not even Lex would survive if it could kill. The evil billionaire's chances of survival diminished with the added glares from Bakugo and Toshinori, all three extremely displeased that the bald psychopath would make a warrior sex bot of their mother, aunt, and lover respectively. And his know-how with robotics goes past insane and into absurd, was noted. While confined to a prison cell, he built a talking, flying robot that reads Moby Dick at such a high frequency. It carved out an escape route through the floor itself, including perfectly shaped stairs. I need a minute, David muttered, removing his glasses and rubbing the bridge between his eyes. This more absurd than the sniper-firing gorilla? Miruko questioned, snickering. I will not justify that question with a response, Edgeshot grumbled. Except you did, Mr. Second Best Ninja, Hawks teased. Edgeshot's grumbling grew louder and angrier. But most diabolical of all, when no one was looking, Lex Luthor took 40 cakes, Boomstick declared dramatically. He took 40 cakes, Wiz. That's as many as 4 tens. And that's terrible. Strange thing is that's actually, officially, canon, was muttered. Bastard, Boomstick cursed. How dare him? Sato roared, eyes bulging with rage as he read further that he stole it from a school bake sale. No, I agree. Fat Gum stood up with the 1A student. Send that bastard to the lowest depths of Tartaros. That money and cake could have been given to a good cause. Like my belly. How is this my life? Tamaki shook his head in his hand at the antics of his hero mentor. Luthor's hatred of Superman and drive to win are stronger than any machine he can create, Boomstick noted. Take for example the time Superman threw a satellite at LexCorp Tower, bringing the building down on top of poor old Lex. This left the guy with half his face ripped off, all 4 limbs blasted away, and he was impaled in 5 different places. Even like that, he still refused Superman's help. Talk about petty, Cozy Eye muttered. Nah, honestly, I'm actually on his side here. Kamakiri shook his head. What hero tosses a freaking satellite on a tower in a metropolis just to spite one dude? I am sure he has his reasons. Izuku's sweat dropped and defended the Man of Steel. Yet even to himself, his defense sounded more like a question. Wiz, if that ever happens to me, do me a solid and kill yourself in front of me so that my dream of outliving you is complete, Boomstick pleaded. Never gonna happen, Wiz denied. Ha, sounds like something Bakubro would demand of Midoriya, Kaminari snickering, teasingly tossing out Kirishima's nickname for the explosive blonde. Like hell I would demand that. Bakugo scoffed at Kaminari. Ha, looks like there are some things even Bakugo wouldn't be so arrogant to demand, Uraraka muttered. No point demanding what will happen. Bakugo's scoff turned into an arrogant smirk. I'm confident I'll outlast the nerd with a longer life. You were saying, Choco? Azui asked while Uraraka sweat dropped. Izuku likewise sweat dropped with Uraraka, somehow surprised his former childhood friend would be competitive enough to make living longer a competition. But it's also that same cocky independence that serves as Lex's greatest downfall, was pointed out, when he merged with his own child Dash. Whoa! Boomstick yelled, disgusted. It's not what you think, was clarified. Horrible way to put what I'm seeing, Mandalay muttered, seeing a glowing Lex fusing with some black and red creature. He gained, and I quote, infinite power. And a secure spot on somebody's watch list, Boomstick added. Jiro facepalmed. The only catch was that he could not use his powers to harm others. But because all he wanted to do was kill Superman, he tried it anyway, was explained. Blind hatred leads only to ruin, Tokoyami sagely said. It clouds all paths save the destination and leaves them ignorant of dangers below them. Reiko shivered, her cheeks blushing bright. Bakugu, Todoroki, and Ida all flinched for their respective reasons. Bakugu still cursed himself for letting anger and pride cloud his judgment for so many instances. From threatening and baiting Deku to commit suicide out of wounded pride to almost killing the nerd in the battle exercise with his gauntlets, and being led into a trap that led to Deku and Round Cheeks winning the day. Todoroki winced as he recalled how bull-headed he was throughout his life, denying his left side despite it being his power, not his father's, and only learning this lesson by having Midoriya break his fingers and sacrifice the festival for him. Ida hung his head in shame when he recalled where blind hatred almost led him to become another number on Stain's kill count, and nearly leaving his family destroyed further right after Tensei's attack. So, Superman just straight up punched the god out of him, Boomstick revealed. Well, that's hardly accurate, was muttered. Come on, how else would you describe that? Boomstick questioned. Punching the god out of someone, Jirota repeated. That certainly is a saying I never thought I would see. You and I both, Shiozaki muttered. Fair enough, Wiz admitted. Additionally, despite kryptonite being his most effective weapon against Superman, other Kryptonians, and even the other heroes of Earth, it does have a lethal side effect. Yeah, turns out exposing and injecting yourself with an alien radioactive material can give you cancer. Who knew? Boomstick mused. So, that is what those sickly-looking veins were indicative of, Recovery Girl muttered. Foolish actions lead to devastating outcomes. Izuku felt a comical weight drop on his head, wondering if the youthful heroine also meant those words for him, given his track record of breaking his limbs. Even so, when the Earth is threatened, you can count on Lex Luthor to look his enemies in the eye and fight for his people, was declared. And then exploit the hell out of them afterward. Admirable. To an extent, Endeavor muttered, narrowing his eyes at the supervillain. You know what happens when you take on Lex Luthor? Lex questioned as he unloaded a round of bullets into Parasite before running out of ammo, and then tossed the gun at the purple villain. The same thing that's gonna happen to Superman. Lex kicked, stomped, and punched the fellow villain repeatedly and unhinged. Beep beep, anger issues called. Mirio mimicked a phone ringing. They asked if they could take your picture for their Hall of Fame. Sorry Togata, but if anyone here is the supreme, ultimate #1 in anger issues, it's Lord Explosion Murder right here. Mina exclaimed, cracking a wide smile as she patted Bakuga's shoulder. I'll kill you, you pink-skinned alien wannabe. Bakuga raged as he chased after Mina with explosive fury. What are you mad at me for? I thought you wanted to be #1. Mina laughed as she ran from the angry blonde while the students laughed. Alright, the combatants are set, was said. Let's end this debate once and for all. It's time for a death battle, Boomstick roared. As the device scanned and calculated counterparts, the group was left to vote among themselves for who would win. At first, the voting seemed intentionally skewed to Iron Man, the hero, against Lex Luthor, the villain, until they forcibly reminded themselves to be objective and fair. Those who would ultimately vote for Iron Man included Melissa and May, both of whom appreciated the sleeker design of Stark's suits, their number and specific utility, and Stark's tagline. Heroes aren't born but built, particularly for Melissa. Izuku and All Might also voted for the Armored Avenger, with the former ultimately selecting the more heroic of the two quirkless fighters who redeemed himself after a life of debauchery and apathy, despite still feeling miffed about what Stark did to his counterpart, Spider-Man, and his aunt. All Might's vote was influenced by a combination of Stark's heroism, his Hulkbuster, his desire to reconcile with his protege, and the uncomfortable familiarity he felt with Lex's hatred. Kaminari's vote was secured thanks to the endosim suit's ability to absorb electricity and damage energy-absorbing foes, Nijire's due to how similar Iron Man fights and flies like her, and Kirishima, who appreciated Stark's endurance and tenacity in addition to the Hulkbuster. Momo would vote for Iron Man based around his multiple suits, especially the endosim Ibra to be against Lex's extreme atheism, Miruko for her Stark's faster mobility, greater emphasis on hand-to-hand combat and versatility, and Hawks for much of the same reasons as Miruko, plus his distaste for Lex and how he reminded him of MLA and HBSC. Mizu would too vote for the faster, more agile, versatile, and adaptable fighter Aoyama, for Iron Man's repulsor beams and uni-beam, and Todoroki in sympathy with Stark's complicated family life. Finally, Bakugo cemented his vote for Iron Man after contemplating and secretly admiring Stark's capacity to grow and mature from his previous playboy life and become a better man, a path which he seeks to follow. Additionally, Bakugo voted for Stark because the Iron Man suits fly and fight much like himself, especially the repulsor beams to his AP shot. As for those who voted for Lex Luthor, they included David Shield and Power Loader, the latter swayed on the warsuit's greater bulk and defense, and how he preferred a larger, tankier suit like his own mech. At the same time, the former felt that if Lex's suit could go up against Toshinori's counterpart, Superman, and the suit being powered by alien technology, then it could achieve an easier victory. Mina would also be convinced by Lex's war suit being made by alien technology, as well as its ability to take on Kryptonians like Superman and Supergirl, while Tetsu voted on the warsuit's clearer defense, durability, and energy supply. Monoma, ultimately, would vote for Luthor based on his suit's track record against Kryptonians and believed Luthor's kryptonite steroids, while cancer-inducing, could give Luthor an edge in survivability and strength. Kamakiri voted on Lex's more extreme weaponry, such as his energy blades, kryptonite axe, and satellite energy orb, Fat Gum based on the warsuit's force field, Mount Lady on the warsuit's greater bulk, strength, and power on weaponry, and Sato and Shota for the warsuit for its greater emphasis on defense and raw power. Endeavor would likewise vote for Luthor's warsuit based on its more impressive firepower and weaponry, especially the orbital laser attack and power. Multiversal counterparts detected, the device declared in its reverberating monotone voice. Anthony, Tony, Edward Stark. Multiversal counterpart 1. Katsuki Bakugo. Ha, how about that? Kaminari grinned mischievously. Both arrogant pieces of shit that got better over time who can fly and fire things from their palms. Rather fitting, don't you think, Baku bro? Kaminari waited for the inevitable bark from the more explosive blonde, but it never came. Blinking confused, Kaminari looked to see Bakugo staring at the screen with an uncertain expression. From what the electric blonde could decipher, Bakugo's eyes looked trapped between surprise, horror, and begrudging acceptance. How about that? Me, a quirkless hero in another lifetime, Bakugo thought. His inner voice muted and empty as the irony of this situation crashed down around him. His taunting and baiting back during that awful day, the day that changed both Bakugo's and Midoriya's lives forever, suddenly felt ironic. Turns out, instead of Izuku getting a quirk and becoming a hero in the next life, it was Bakugo, in another lifetime with another face and name, who ended up without a natural superpower and became a hero anyway. If they hadn't learned about Midoriya being a counterpart to the Batman, Bakugo thought it would be like he was the one who accomplished the nerd's dream about a quirkless hero, something ironically humorous when thinking about his prior behavior as well as unknowingly guilty when, in a way, another version of him took Deku's dream for himself. Bakugo flinched at that notion, his stomach churning with guilt and shame that even without meaning to, he was somehow messing with his former bullying victim. Baku bro. Hello. Bakugo blinked when he realized Kaminari and Kirishima were waving their hands in front of his face, trying to get his attention. Anybody home? Did you finally blow a gasket up there? Get your hands off my face before I blow them off. Bakugo finally replied, smacking them away. Ah, there he is, Kaminari exclaimed. You good, bro? Kirishima asked, his smile not reaching his eyes, full of uncertainty and slight concern. You kinda spaced out there for a second. Of course I'm fine, shitty hair, Bakugo huffed, acting as if everything was normal. Just surprised is all. A false, wide grin appeared. And basking in the fact that my counterpart is a rich badass. That's the manly spirit. Kirishima pumped his fist, his concern fading for the most part. From afar, Nijire raised an eyebrow, noticing how Bakugo first reacted and now, unsure whether it was an act or truth. Meanwhile, Izuku stared blankly at Bakugo, uncertain how to truly react to Bakugo as Iron Man's counterpart. The green-haired teen could see the resemblance, in personality if not appearance. Izuku couldn't imagine Bakugo with a goatee. Both Stark and Bakugo had the arrogant, talented protege angle, one in robotics and the other in combat, and the Iron Man suits do fly and fight similarly to Bakugo with his explosions as his propulsion and main weapons, and they both were originally harder to deal with. Izuku thought nicely, only to change and become better people after a life-changing event. I wonder which one was Bakugo's life-altering event. The sludge villain or Kamino? Honestly, Kamino makes the most sense, but Izuku paused before he could spiral down into a mental muttering storm, realization finally dawning on him of something he didn't know he was doing. When did I start referring to Kaken as Bakugo? Melissa's shoulders slumped with disappointment. Arguably, she remembered she already had a counterpart in this Marvel universe, Gwen Stacy, and it would be weird to see herself as a man, but the SHIELD girl wanted to hope that she was a counterpart to Iron Man, that she had accomplished her dream, technically, of being a hero. More than that she was a quirkless hero using her mind, willpower, and scientific expertise to be a hero. Well, I guess that's that, Melissa thought, trying not to sound too down mentally. Then she froze. Wait a minute. The device said counterpart 1. Does that mean multiversal counterpart 2? Melissa SHIELD. Melissa's mind shut down while the words echoed in her ears. Whoa, that was unexpected, Mina admitted, looking between Stark and Melissa with a widening grin. Didn't know you could be so rugged and masculine, Melissa. Oh, stop it, Momo lightly chided Mina while Melissa blushed. What she means to say is congratulations, Melissa-san. I hope that you find this revelation pleasing, yes? Why yeah, Melissa managed to say. It's just a lot to take in. The students around her gave her confused looks, wondering what she meant by that. Luckily, before she had to awkwardly explain herself, a hero came to her rescue. Congrats, Melissa. Melissa felt Izuku's hand on hers, snapping her from the momentary freezing she felt at his words. The blonde turned to see her green-haired crush smiling proudly at her. Looks like you accomplished your dream in another life out there. Quirkless hero. Isn't that awesome? Melissa's blush burned brighter, yet the ends of her lips couldn't help but smile at Izuku's enthusiasm and praise. Why yeah, it sure is, Melissa replied, smiling back. It just feels overwhelming, you know? To find out that you accomplished your old dream in another life when you couldn't hear. Melissa's smile began to drop. I get it. I really do, Izuku nodded, thinking about how he was also counterparts with Batman, another quirkless hero. But I don't think it's that surprising or shocking. Melissa looked at him, a confused eyebrow raised. You already have everything to be a true hero. The drive, resourcefulness, definitely the brains, and the courage. You showed it all to me back on Island. You did accomplish your old dream already, Melissa, because you were every bit a hero like the rest of us. Melissa froze so still. She thought Todoroki had frozen her in a block of ice. Then she felt the tears, wet and salty, down her cheeks, felt the shaking in her whimpering lips, and finally the overwhelming urge to hug the crap out of Midoriya. Then she did, without her mind even realizing it. Thank you, Izu. Thank you, Melissa cried into Midoriya's shirt, trying to plant all her feelings and gratitude onto the man she loved with her hug. Izuku blinked in surprise at how quickly Melissa hugged him, or even that a beautiful woman like Melissa Shield was hugging him so tightly at all. Then he heard that name. Izuku tested in his mind, and he felt a warmth he was starting to feel more and more these days. Something familiar with how he felt with the other girls, but also something unique, individualistic, special. Something Melissa, and he loved it. And her. Izuku smiled warmly and hugged Melissa back, patting her golden locks with his scarred hand in a gentleness that sent pleasant shivers down Melissa's spine. "You're welcome, Mel," Izuku replied. "And just like you helped me, I swear I'll help you stand beside us further. I'll help build up the truest, most amazing hero that Melissa Shield can ever." Melissa's smile grew wider, absorbing Izuku's promise with ironclad finality. She nodded, making a sound of approval as she hugged Izuku tighter if possible. The two then felt a tug at their shirts, both teens breaking apart slightly to see it coming from Eri, smiling brightly at the two and raising her arms, a hesitance in her silent plea. Izuku and Melissa smiled lovingly at her and brought her into their hug, now softer and less suffocating. And Eri beamed and lightly cried at the embrace and parental embrace. There was scarcely a dry eye in the room, students and adults either watching the scene before them with misty eyes and proud or pleasant smiles, to exaggerated wailing and waterfalls of tears that would give the trademark Midoriya family tears a run for their money. The girls of the sisterhood held no jealousy in their hearts at the sight, gazing at their collective crush with renewed and invigorated adoration, and their sister with pride and warmth. They steeled themselves to remain rooted in their seats, to let Melissa, Izuku and Eri have this special moment between them, although they then sat up to restrain a crying, overjoyed knee-gyre from tackling the trio. All Might and David Shield smiled proudly and lovingly at the two teenagers. Their kids, in a sense, even if one wasn't related by blood. All Might and David Shield looked to one another, nodding with a silent declaration in their eyes. Should those two end up together, they will have our full support and love, the two thought firmly. A slight twitch in David's eye had Toshinori's smile turn mirthful. And David Shield won't conspire to secretly murder Izuku Midoriya. Toshinori added the amendment to this fatherly clause. Alexander, Lex, Joseph Luthor. Multiversal Counterpart 1. All for One. The good vibes from before quickly faded as the evil smile of All for One appeared beside Lex Luthor's image. All Might's glare lasered on his arch-nemesis. "My nemesis here, my nemesis there," Toshinori realized. As fitting as it is annoying. Nizu's hysterical laugh sparked Toshinori's interest. "May I ask what is so funny, sir?" All Might asked. "Oh, forgive me, All Might. I did not mean to come off as insensitive given your hatred of the man," Nizu apologized. "I simply could not help but laugh at how fitting and humorous the comparison between you and All for One with Superman and Lex Luthor. You and Superman, the heroes and symbols of truth and justice, and All for One and Luthor, your prideful arch-nemesis with a taste for scheming, suits, and bald heads." A snort escaped Toshinori's mouth, covering his mouth to keep the full-blown laughter he felt from escaping. "That is funny, sir," All Might chuckled. His humor only fueled by the vindictive pleasure Toshinori felt at the fact that All for One's once messy white hair was gone and replaced with a balding potato for a head because of him. "And that won't be the only thing I'll ruin for you, All for One." As the device turned silent and the video resumed, Momo blinked in surprise. "Wait, pause," Momo yelled, Melissa quickly pausing the video. "Ah, come on." Kuta whined, his excitement cut short. "What gives, Yayorozu?" Waze asked. "I apologize for the sudden inconvenience, but I noticed something," Momo said. "Luthor was only given one counterpart." "Yeah, and?" Kozai asked, confused. "A lot of the others only had one counterpart, before that counterpart probability thingy." "Yes, but what's important to note is that the device All for One was Luthor's multiversal counterpart 1, Momo replied, a finger raised to indicate the number. Whenever the device specifies a number, it usually means there is more than one probable counterpart. Now that I mention it, the same happened with Guts in the last video. But because it didn't say any other counterparts, you think there will be another fight with Luthor and Guts?" Todoroki questioned. It's a hypothesis, but I wanted to ask to make sure. Momo nodded. Wouldn't hurt. Power Loader shrugged, turning to look at the device. Device. Is there going to be another fight with these characters? The device hummed and beeped, responding in its echoing monotone voice. Affirmative, the device said. Future available death battles involving Lex Luthor. 1 fight. Future battles involving Guts. 1. Future battles involving Iron Man. 1. Looks like you're right on the money, Yamama, Setsuna whistled. And there's even another fight with Iron Man too. Melissa smiled, happy that she would have the chance to view Iron Man and his suits again. With Momo's hypothesis confirmed and no other distractions left, the group allowed the video to resume and display the death battle itself. The video began in a warehouse, a shot of the shutter doors showing the Stark Industries logo. A guard in military-grade army patrolled the warehouse, his comms buzzing with activity, while gazing casually at the various items inside, including a rectangular box with the Stark Industries logo imprinted on its black side. As the guard turned around, a flash of light and a grunt occurred, and the guard fell to the floor dead. As he fell, Lex Luthor, dressed in a black and green jumpsuit and armed with a laser pistol, was revealed to be the perpetrator. Bakugo and Melissa frowned, angry at Lex for murdering a guard protecting their counterpart's warehouse. With the guard dead, Lex raised a scanner. The device beeped louder as the evil billionaire directed it around, eventually landing and turning his attention to the large black box. I guess the backstory behind this fight is that Lex is looking to steal something from Stark, Ojiro figured. How dare that chrome dome try and steal from me? Bakugo roared in anger. Ahem, I think you mean steal from me. Melissa fake coughed, gesturing to herself smugly. Screw off, girl, did you? Bakugo directed his bark at the American blonde. I was the first counterpart shown, and that means I'm more Tony Stark than your feminine ass. Young Bakugo, behave. All Might directed a narrow glare at Bakugo. And Melissa, please don't try aggravating him. Sorry, Uncle Might. Melissa apologized. Bakugo huffed, stewing in jealousy at Melissa's connection to his idol. Whatever, he muttered. Suddenly, another guard appeared and fired on Lex. The bullets were deflected by a force field around Luthor, appearing as the bullets made contact. Lex fired his pistol at the guard, killing the man as the screen turned black. Poor dude, Kirishima sighed and then frowned at Lex. It's super unmanly of him to try and steal from Bakubro and Melissa's counterpart and kill those guys just doing their job. At least it's only a simulation, Tetsu shrugged. The scene cuts to Tony Stark working on an unfinished Iron Man suit, soldering its frame with a soldering mask over his face while a certain theme song plays on the stereo. May grinned as she watched the genius inventor work, eyes approvingly zooming in on how delicately and precisely Stark worked. Sir, we have a visitor, Jarvis announced, Stark ceasing his work at the AI's words. So, that's Jarvis. Ojiro perked up. Guess Stark gave it a British accent. Why? My guess is it's for him to sound like the stereotypical British butler. Aoyama guessed, placing his hand over his pompously forward chest. Although, if he wanted a true classy voice, he should have gone for a French one, in my most humble opinion. Asterisk cough asterisk cap asterisk cough asterisk. Manga fake coughed while his text bubblehead displayed the kanji for cough. How do you even cough, much less fake cough? Zero question. Tony looked at the monitors showing Lex on the security feed, alarms going off around him. Stark looked at the table behind him, a crystal inside a display case. All clear, Lex muttered, going down on one knee while opening the black box. Inside, 3 sets of objects were displayed. The one in the middle was an overtly large key with one end a handle like a sword. On the left were 7 yellow orbs with red stars, each displaying an increasing number of stars from 1 to 7. And finally, on the right, was a chunk of rock containing protruding purple and blue crystals. What a strange assortment of objects in one case. Ectoplasm chuckled lightly. But what are they? That large key, it looks like it has a handle on it, as if you hold it like a sword, Tiger pointed out. What, like a key sword? Pixie Bob guessed with a questioning look. I feel like that's close but not quite, Ragdoll commented. What about those orbs? Mandalay asked. Oh, I think I know what they are, Izuku exclaimed, grabbing another notebook and flipping to the appropriate page. Back in Vegeta's fight, remember how they said he died? And then came back to life, Uraraka said, pulling from her memory of the fight between the Scion Prince and Shadow the Hedgehog. Yeah, the device revealed to us that he was resurrected using something called the Dragon Balls, Izuku explained. 7 orbs with red stars that could summon a dragon called Shenron, who could grant wishes, including reviving someone from the dead. Oh, so somehow this simulated Stark got his hands on them. Shoji cupped his chin in thought. Does Lex perchance wish to claim them so he could wish for Superman's destruction? What a joke, Lex laughed. Lex looked to the right and picked up the crystal chunk, holding it aloft as he stood up. Oh, he's taking the crystal? Shoji asked, blinking in surprise at his failed guess. Perhaps, Luthor doesn't know what Dragon Balls can do and instead wishes to claim the crystal for some nefarious purpose, Jirota answered. Possibly an energy source to power one of his inventions. Or maybe the Dragon Balls are props, Shoda proposed. Or maybe you guys can stop speculating and shut the hell up so we can get this death battle started, Kamakiri roared, impatient. Okay, whatever you say, Bakugu, Kurwaro snickered. The hell you said, Kurwaro/Inky Black. Bakugu and Kamakiri roared in unison. The two looked at each other. Stop copying me. Now look who is interrupting the video. Shinso rolled his eyes, subtly cleaning his ear. Suddenly, Iron Man appeared, landing heroically meters away from Lex. Hands off, Baldy, Iron Man yelled out. I see Stark has Bakubrat's name calling, Jiro smirked. Zip your lid and stick those jacks up yours ears. Honestly, no offense, Melissa, but aside from your mutual talent with inventing and robotics, I can't picture you as the same counterpart as Bakugu, Momo admitted. Nah, no worries, Melissa shrugged. But who knows, maybe I have a secret sassy side of me you guys haven't seen yet. She emphasized this with a cheeky smile. Oh, we're going to get along swimmingly, Mel, Setsuna grinned. Sorry, Suna, but that's Izu's name for me, Melissa grinned teasingly. Find your own. Setsuna's grin widened while her cheeks grew pink. Oh, yeah, definitely bye, Setsuna thought to herself. What's that you got there? Stark questioned as Lex turned around with the crystal in hand. Oh yeah. Tony raised his right palm and fired a repulsor blast at the crystal, destroying it. It's mine. I'll send you the bill. He seriously destroyed his own crystal. Ryukyu raised an eyebrow. Better in pieces than in Chrome Dome's ugly mitts, Miruko snickered. And helps drain his bank account. Not like it'll do him good if he doesn't make it out of the death battle alive, Mount Lady pointed out. Lex raised his device and clicked a button, and his suit landed next to him. Actually, sir, I should probably remind you. The contents of this warehouse belong to Miss Potts, JRVS noted. At the same time, Lex suited up more of the warehouse's objects, including expensive-looking cars and a marble statue of a Pegasus. Pepper? Tony questioned, a look inside his helmet displaying his surprised and worried face. So, this version of Stark is with this Pepper Potts lady, Mirio grinned. Guess things are about to get spicy. Oh God! Tamaki and Nijaya groaned, shaking their heads. I'll forward the estimated damages feed to her account, JRVS informed while Iron Man hovered upwards, and Lex was fully suited in the warsuit. Great, Tony said. Be discreet about it. One of us has to be. JRVS snarked back. Ha. Oh, I so dig that AI. It's hilarious. Hagakure laughed out loud. Yeah, if Bakugu is anything, discreet is not one of them, Mina snickered. Fuck you. Why aren't you dissing Girl Do You too? She's also an iron counterpart, Bakuga whined. As if you don't already diss us enough with your demeaning nicknames, Momo rebutted, crossing her arms, frowning at Bakugu. Yeah, We girls stick together. Nijire cheered while throwing a raspberry at Bakugu. And if I'm right about you, you deserve every bit of mocking, you bully. Nijire kept that last part to herself. Smart enough to know that tossing out unconfirmed accusations was not a good idea. Luthor laughed evilly as he flew closer to Stark, activating his force fields. "Remember my face, Stark," Lex yelled. "It'll be the last thing you ever see." Melissa grinned passionately. "Let's rock and roll." Fight. Iron Man and Luthor charged toward each other, clashing their respective energy beams in the middle, creating a large spark of electricity and energy. Eventually, Luthor won the clash and pushed Stark back, the latter landing on one knee. Iron Man began shooting his repulsor blasts at Lex, the villain's force field blocking them while Luthor stalked slowly and menacingly toward his heroic opponent. "Luthor's shield is putting in the work," Fat Gum nodded. "And that clash showed his suit is stronger physically than Stark's. Yet it's fueling Lex's arrogance and sense of invincibility, making him take his time instead of finishing the fight quickly." All Might noted. "And historically speaking, that is a recipe for disaster." Switching tactics, Stark activated his missile system, the plates on his back opening up to reveal and fire a barrage of missiles. Luthor raised his arm, activating a green shield to block the missiles. Meanwhile, several missiles misfired, striking and damaging the warehouse's artifacts more than the bald villain. "Hey! He's destroying everything except the bad guy," Nijire whined. "Ooh, his girl's not gonna like this," Kaminari hissed at seeing the missiles destroy those cool-looking cars. "Why did he pull up that green shield? Doesn't he already have that force field?" Sun questioned. "Perhaps Lex's initial force field is better at blocking energy-based attacks than explosive ones like the missiles," Melissa analyzed. "His systems are confusing my targeting," JRVIS informed. "Well, I guess that explains why the missiles are going haywire," Away shrugged. "Which is bad for Stark if he can't accurately fire on the dude even though he's quite the big target," Tsuburaba noted. "Also adding 2 million to your charges," JRVS added unhelpfully. 2 million? Uraraka's eyes bugged out comically. "Not now, JRVS. What have we got here?" Iron Man asked as he flew toward and attempted to deliver a rocketing punch at Lex, only for the force field to impede his attack. "I am having difficulty determining the suit's alloy," JRVIS analyzed. "Alien, perhaps." While the AI talked, Iron Man backflipped away before rocketing back to deliver another punch to Luthor's crotch to no effect. Stark looked up at Luthor, staring down at him smugly. "Shield and armor likewise block his physical attacks," Kirishima clicked his tongue. "Damn! Come on, you flashy tin man. Wipe that smug grin of that baldy's face." Bakuga roared. "Ha! Luthor's staring at Stark like the weak bug that he is," Monoma taunted. "Makes sense when you consider who his counterpart is." While Bakugu, the insult's target, growled, Monoma's taunt unintentionally garnered the glares of Melissa, Izuku, and the whole of the sisterhood. Iron Man began punching at the war suit multiple times, sparks of impact flying, but no damage was present, while Lex did nothing but laugh. "My suit is invincible," Lex laughed and boasted. Iron Man flew above Lex, aiming and charging his palms directly at Luthor's head. "How about this part?" Stark asked. Iron Man fired a powerful repulsor blast, resulting in an explosion and a cloud of black smoke. "It's like I'm looking in a mirror," Zero muttered, looking between Bakugu and Stark. "That did nothing, did it?" Bondo asked. "Nope," Shoda said. Before the smoke fully cleared, the warsuit's hand broke through, grabbing Stark's leg. Iron Man yelped before an unfazed Luthor slammed the armored Avenger onto the ground multiple times, cratering the ground with each impact. The nemesis of Superman raised the upside-down hero before him, crushing Iron Man's leg and denting the suit's armor. "I thought you were smart," Lex taunted with contempt. "Hey, you're the one who looks like a giant rusty trash can with legs. No judging," Stark insulted back. "Oh, burn." Kaminari laughed. "Hey, no insulting such amazing babies." May yelled. Even if Baldi's could use a bit more polishing. Luthor growled and slammed Tony on the ground again before finally tossing the armored hero across the warehouse. Iron Man crashed onto the leg of a Gundam, the crash creating an explosion that crippled the mech and toppled it to the ground, crashing and destroying more of the warehouse's contents. Was that a Gundam? Shinso pointed, surprised. Yui's pale, horrified face turned murderous, eyes glowing pure red. Well, if Stark doesn't kill Luthor, I know who will, Setsuna joked. Sir, I estimate that will be a $583 million fee, Jarvis commented, while an inside look at Stark's HUD showed the suit's energy dropping to 60%. Whoa, whoa, whoa. That one's on him, Tony exclaimed, surprised. The fight might need to end quickly. I'm not sure how much of this Ochako can take. Karo, Azui croaked. She and Momo used the latter's created fans to cool off a hyperventilating Uraraka as the cost of destruction ramped up. Is the girl really that poor? Mount Lady raised an eyebrow. Her family's construction company is currently struggling. Her main motivation for being a hero is to make enough money to give her parents a well-off lifestyle for their struggles, Ryukyu revealed. Oh, wow. That's actually pretty cool of her, Mount Lady replied, surprised and even touched by Uraraka's goals. Hawks blinked, surprised too, for such a noble reason from a normally greedy goal. Hawks knew dozens of heroes were only in it for the money and glory rather than heroic aspirations like saving people. While he could admit he wasn't so informed or righteous to believe all of them did it for themselves or no good reason, Uraraka's reasons were a welcome dose of goodness and reality for his embittered soul. Lex pulled out his kryptonite axe and rocketed toward Iron Man, swinging the green blade at Shellhead, who dodged his slashes. Lex ceased and brought up his left arm, glowing with green energy. Iron Man raised his arms, the plates of his forearms spreading out in a shield formation. Lex laughs maniacally while unleashing a powerful kryptonite laser in an arc, destroying more of the warehouse's objects. Tony blocked the beam, yet stumbled back. As deadly as that blade looks, it can't do much against a faster, more agile opponent, Hawks grinned. Though, while Iron Man blocked that last attack, the way he stumbled showed his defenses aren't as impervious as Luthor's force field, Cementos added. But did he have to destroy more of the room? Pixie Bob whined. It's like he's trying to bankrupt Stark. I guess Luthor means to destroy Iron Man physically and financially, Mandalay shrugged. Here we go. Activate the EMP, Tony ordered, his suit's HUD displaying 50% of power remaining. Iron Man's chest glowed with energy as he brought his arms inward. As the armored Avenger spread them out, he unleashed a shockwave of electricity. The EMP spreads far, striking Luthor's suit. What? Luthor exclaimed as his suit powered down, forced to kneel. Impossible. Oh yeah, MP baby, Kaminari cheered. It must have shut down Luthor's force field, along with most of his weaponry, May grinned. He's vulnerable. I guess even alien technology can still get neutered by an EMP, Mina muttered. Good to know. Alright, come to mama, Tony yelled, lifting a large and familiar black muscle car over his head. Izuku blinked. Wait, is that Dash? Heave-ho. Iron Man tossed the vehicle at Lex. Lex got back up on his feet. Wait, is that the... Lex cut himself off and slashed the car in half, its pieces crashing behind him in an explosion. Even with the force field and most of the power down, he can still fight, Kamakiri grinned, approving of Lex's expert slash. That one might actually make a dent in your wallet, JRVS commented on the vehicle's destruction. What are you talking about? It's just a car, Tony replied, only for his HUD to display all the immensely expensive features and pieces of the car, each high number further widening Uraraka's eyes. Seriously, what kind of car was that? Where do I get one of those? I'm sorry, I lost track of the cost after the $120 billion Bat computer, Mount Lady exclaimed with comically wide eyes. What kind of car was that? No offense, Mount Lady, but you kind of already answered your question. Izuku brought up a hand-drawn design of the car. Bat computer, bat beams, bat tearing ram, Lex's familiarity with a car. It's clearly supposed to be Batman's Batmobile. Damn, I don't think even the Hercules cost that much. All Might whistled, shocked. As Uraraka finished calculating the car's cost in her head, she proceeded to pass out. Ah, my mean Miss Choco. Eri yelped as she ran to the rosy-cheeked girl. Don't worry, Eri. Ajui patted Eri's head. Choco was just a bit overwhelmed and needed to take a nap. She'll come to. Ajui looked at her swirly-eyed best friend, swearing she could see Tweety birds circling overhead. Eventually, while Tony was distracted, Lex lifted a large crate, the label Model 14 imprinted on its side. Wake up, sunshine! Lex yelled out before tossing the box at Stark. Watch your left, Jarvis warned. Iron Man turned, yet was unable to react in time. Gah! Iron Man groaned as the box slammed into him, sending both him and the box crashing outside the warehouse and into the open city. Ooh, that's gonna leave a mark, Hawks hissed. Melissa grinned widely. Lex messed up, Melissa said. What do you mean, Melissa? Toru questioned. Like, I don't think that did it for Stark, but it's not like that didn't do some damage. It's not the fact that it damaged Stark, but what was the box Lex tossed? Melissa pointed out. Model 14. Izuku's eyes widened. You mean the dash? Lex flew out of the warehouse, landing meters away from the box. Thanks for the fun, Stark. Lex thanked the believed to be incapacitated hero. It was. Lex took out his axe, resting its long handle on his shoulder. Smashing. A large, armored hand broke through the box. Bakugu grinned sinisterly. Oh, you fucked up now, Cue-Ball. A large figure shot out of the box before landing before Lex. No problem, pal, Tony said, now donning the Hulkbuster suit, its helmet closing up over the modular armor. Thanks for the suit. Ah, the benefits of versatility, Nizu hummed. While Lex only possesses the one suit, Stark's modular armor allows him to interchange it with his others as well as enhance it, specifically with the Hulkbuster suit. And now Stark is just as tall and bulky as Luthor's war suit. All Might nodded. Let's see if it's as strong and durable. The two charged at each other, Luthor swinging his kryptonite axe, only for Tony to easily grab and crush the blade. Shit! Kamakiri cursed as the axe was destroyed. Iron Man marched up to Luthor while the villain raised his arms, ready. Hulkbuster Iron Man launched a series of punches at Lex. The evil billionaire did his best to block and defend from the attacks as he was being pushed back. Iron Man then delivered a rising, propulsion-powered knee strike, striking Lex in the gut and pushing him back further. Recovering, Lex met Stark back on the offensive, the two heavy armored fighters trading punch for punch in equal measure. Finally, the two reared back their fists, charging their respective energies into them, before firing them out in a final blow. Both Stark and Luthor staggered back. Now, with the Hulkbuster, the two are seemingly evenly matched in raw strength, Tiger said. Yes, but the problem is how much energy do either have? Mandalay pointed out. What do you mean? Kendo asked. The last time we saw Stark's HUD, it said he had 50% power left in his suit, Mandalay said. We don't know what using the Hulkbuster costs in draining his battery, or if it uses its own reactor to power it. And we haven't had any indicator of how much power Lex's suit has, even after the EMP attack, or the EMP's effects have worn off, Midnight nodded. Now that they are on even footing, this could quickly resort to a battle of endurance, both with their suit's durability and their energy. Iron Man shot forward, quickly grabbing the unprepared Luthor. Stark proceeded forward with Lex in hand, slamming the supervillain onto the side of a building. Rocketing upward, Iron Man dragged Lex Luthor up the building's side. Lex attempted to escape, but Iron Man slammed him back and continued dragging him. As they reached the roof, Iron Man tossed Luthor through the air. While Lex sailed mid-air, Stark charged his right palm before firing a powerful repulsor beam, blasting Lex downward, crashing through a track and onto the street below. Damn, talk about an aggressive comeback. Zero grinned. That was awesome. Cutter exclaimed, stars in his eyes. The way he was dragging that baldy up the building. So cool. I guess it was. Izuku chuckled at Kuta's excitement. Though, that is a lot of property damage. Who cares about property damage in a simulated fight? DKU? Bakuga roared. You're just jealous your stupid luck with counterparts didn't land you as Iron Man's counterpart, unlike me. I mean, I don't think it's stupid luck if I have so many. Izuku muttered, sweat dropping at Bakuga's accusation. Why the property damage matters, young Bakugu, is that you too will have to potentially fight villains in such extreme scenarios, Cementos voiced. While it is preferable to defeat a powerful villain as soon and efficiently as possible, if you aren't careful, the resulting destruction of your fight could harm civilians just as much as the villains. Plus, if you cause too much damage in your fights, you could be held responsible and given a fee for the damages, 13 added. Mount Lady winced, having been given a few of those fees herself as she was starting out, before improving with the lurkers. Iron Man landed meters from Lex before rushing after him. Lex got up and charged to meet Stark. The two clashed, Lex's hands gripping the Hulkbuster's fists with crackling green energy. While both stood their ground, Lex laughed while the green energy coursed through the Hulkbuster suit. Danger! Danger! Harmful electricity! Kaminari pointed, worried. Luthor countered Stark's aggressive pursuit with a trap, Momo analyzed. That electricity must be damaging the suit's energy. The clash ended with Iron Man pushed back. That current damaged your battery. Power is at 15% and dropping fast. JRVS informed. A look into Stark's now red and beeping HUD displaying the dropping battery level. Jesus, so little. Jiro blinked, surprised. Not only was that electrical attack responsible, but the Hulkbuster likely uses a lot of power, and all those aggressive attacks from Stark probably drained a fair bit too, Melissa hissed, eyes narrowing in worry while she wrote down a note, advising herself to be more conservative and careful in her energy usage. Meanwhile, Lex Luthor's force field re-emerged around him. Great, now the force field's back too, Kirishima cursed. I recommend a new plan of attack, Jervis advised. I have a plan, Iron Man replied, charging up his suit. Attack. Manly, Kirishima exclaimed. Just my style, Bakuga grinned. Tony rushed at Lex, throwing heavy punches against Luthor's force field while the villain laughed gleefully, arms crossed. A bold strategy, Cementos hummed, cupping his non-existent chin. He's attempting to break Luthor's force field by brute force. It fits his fighting style, however. The consequences of such an approach could be fatal. Sato and Kirishima winced, recalling their failed final exam battle against Cementos, where they foolishly tried smashing through the cement heroes' constructed walls, only to tire themselves out and leave themselves vulnerable. Power at 10%, JRVS warned. Heh, fitting, Monoma chuckled tauntingly. When faced with a complex problem, his best strategy is to thrash against the shield like a feral beast. Typical 1A arrogance. Melissa frowned. While she couldn't care less about the 1B blonde taunting Bakugu, the American girl did not care for such taunting being given loosely to all of Class 1A2, including the girls she made friends with and Izuku. You call that power? Ha! Lex taunted and laughed while Stark slammed his fists and repulsor-charged palms onto the force field. You are nothing. Shut your mouths, both of you. Bakuga roared with rising anger at both Luthor and Monoma. JRVS, reroute all power to the arm and leg hydraulics. Tony ordered the AI assistant while the battery dropped to 6%. He's diverting all the power for greater attack strength, May said, her foot anxiously tapping the ground. I have seen true power, Lex boasted while the Hulkbuster rained heavy blows after blow faster and stronger, sparks of electricity flying everywhere. You are nothing more than another ant to crush under my dash. Before Luthor could finish, Iron Man slammed a final repulsor-charged palm down, finally breaking through the force field. He broke through. Kirishima and Tetsu exclaimed, one in cheer and the other in sudden worry. How about that? Lex said with light admitted surprise. Stark reared back his right fist. Good night, Q-Ball. Iron Man yelled, launching the fist forward. Die, Chrome Dome! Bakuga roared. However, instead of striking the supervillain, Lex caught Tony's punch easily. The students voiced surprised, faces dropping while others rose. Bakuga's triumphant grin froze. What's going on? Tony questioned. We're out of power, Gervais stated while Tony's HUD shut off. Ugh, figures, Stark scoffed annoyed. Damn it, Bakuga cursed. Oh no, Eri whimpered. Shit, Melissa cursed under her breath. Lex let go of the Hulkbuster's fist and walked away. Fool, you're just like all the rest, Lex began, bringing up a holographic screen from his suit's wrist while the Hulkbuster began to kneel as it shut off. Building a suit to save the world. Lex started typing on the screen. Trying to play God. Lex finished, the screen displaying the words. Target locked. Endeavor's brows perked up. His orbital laser, NG Todoroki said. He's activated it. I believe it's curtains for Stark. Monoma grinned victoriously. Are we sure the device didn't make a mistake with Lex's counterpart? Sen whispered while gesturing to Monoma, which the smug blonde heard and pointedly ignored. Nuke that loud, whining bastard, Kamakiri cheered. The LexCorp laser zeroed in on his position and fired a powerful red laser down to the planet. Lex raised his hands as the laser beam slammed into them, holding and forming a large ball of pure energy. The ball and he hovered upward while the area around Lex crumbled. Let me tell you something, Stark. Lex Luthor roared out. There's only one man in the world who's fit to play such a role. Ibera scowled venomously at the atheist. Luthor tossed the charged attack at Stark, the resulting massive explosion destroying buildings to pieces, while Stark slammed into a building, the rubble falling and covering him. Jaws dropped at the massive explosion. Endeavor narrowed his eyes, the explosion reminding him of his Prominence Burn ultimate move he employed on the Hood Nomu. All Might's scowl grew deeper as the explosion reminded him of his master Shimura's final battle against All for One, Gran Torino carrying him away while All for One destroyed the entire area and his master along with it. Lex lands in front of the destroyed building. Me, the villain proclaimed. Is that it? Pony asked unsure. Of course it is over, sweet pony. Monoma said, sending his best charming smile at her, which left her uncomfortable, and Todoroki glaring at the male blonde. However, if Monoma noticed it, he didn't say, focusing on taunting Bakuga further. That explosion was like an atomic bomb dropped on Stark's powerless suit. There is no way that dash. Suddenly, strands of silver liquid flew past Lex, the evil billionaire, looking confused as they all coalesced into the rubble. Monoma's triumphant grin began to drop while Melissa's grin rose. Stark's endosim armor, the American exclaimed. Wait, you mean electricity-absorbing liquid metal suit? Kaminari asked. Melissa nodded. Kaminari would forever deny that he squealed like a little girl. I dunno, Lex. Tony spoke while his completed endosim armor glowed in activation. A flash of repulsor light later, and the rubble was destroyed, revealing Stark in his silver and blue Iron Man armor. Being a god can't be too hard. I mean, I'm the most intelligent, capable person on the planet. I'm not playing God, Iron Man declared. His HUD restored and glowing, and the blue of his suit turned red. All this time, I've been playing human. Manly. Kirishima and Tetsu roared to the heavens. You still going to ban them from their playlist? Momo inquired, rubbing her ears. No, after a speech like that, they get the pass of a lifetime. Jiro denied, herself shaken by Stark's badass declaration. Tetsu, Monoma cried, aghast at Tetsu's cheering for Iron Man. What is this betrayal? Sorry man, but that was an awesome manly comeback. I couldn't help it, Tetsu admitted. While the music reached a climax, Iron Man charged at Lex full speed, clashing against the villain's erected green shield, red electricity sparking off Stark. Quickly, Stark broke through the shield, knocking Luthor away. Tony did not let up, immediately rocketing after Lex in mid-air, launching Lex farther with an uppercut to the gut. "Shoryuken!" Eri cried. "Dang it, I was going to say that." Kendo snickered, putting up a faux upset look. "Sorry, Auntie Sucka," Eri giggled. Kendo's heart skipped a beat, her eyes watering. "I know I only recently met her, but if anything happened to her, I would kill everyone in this room and then myself," Izuku declared mentally. Lex ceased his movement, forming a large gathering of kryptonite energy in his hands, the energy sparking with green electricity. As Tony rose to Lex's level, the Superman villain threw the gathered energy at Stark. A large explosion of green energy and electricity blinded the screen, only to recede and show Iron Man unharmed. "What? How?" Kamakiri exclaimed. "He absorbed the electricity." May grinned widely. That endosim suit was stated to be able to absorb electricity, and is now doing so against Lex's attacks. "My man!" Kaminari's grin nearly reached ear to ear. Iron Man flew toward Luthor, who responded by firing flamethrowers at his foe. The armored Avenger circled and evaded the stream of flames, reaching Lex and grabbing the suited villain's arms. "I'll take this," Tony said, his hands glowing red as a surging sound was heard. A burst of energy later, Lex stumbled back. As he slowed, the warsuit gave off a low hum, sparks surging from the suit, the flames of his rocket sputtering, and his suit powering down. "What?" Lex gasped, shocked. "What did you take?" Iron Man lifted his hand as it glowed with red and green electricity. "Everything." He absorbed all of the warsuit's power. Izuku gasped, his smile widening. "Power!" Mirio flexed and roared. All Might grinned widely and pettily. "Well, how about that? Finally got a taste of your own medicine." All Might thought, All for One briefly replacing Lex in his mind, imagining the constantly smug, smiling monster now sputtering fearfully as his quirk was stolen. Tony charged up his stolen power and grabbed Lex by the throat, breaking the warsuit apart and leaving Lex defenseless. "The warsuit's destroyed." Power Loader gasped. "No, no, no, no." Monoma stuttered and exclaimed, karma bearing down around him. "Your history, you villain scum," Bakugo declared. Tony tossed Lex downward, the deceptively durable villain crashing through a building and skidding across the street. Stark reached Lex before he could stop and threw him back up into the air. Here's the big one. Iron Man unleashed a large Uni-Beam attack. Uni-Beam! Kuta and Eri roared. The massive repulsor blast slammed into Lex, the villain giving out a death cry as he disintegrated into ashes. "Yeah!" The Iron Man voters cheered victoriously. "God damn it!" Kamakiri cursed, stomping his foot as he huffed. "Ha! Suck it, mandible breath and copycat." Bakugo laughed at the 2-1B students and their reddening faces. "Where's all that shit talking now, huh?" "Okay, dial it back, kid," Vlad King growled, not pleased that his students were being mocked by 1A's loudest delinquent, but his students brought it on themselves for their prior mocking. As they say, karma's a bitch. "Congrats, Mel." Izuku smiled at Melissa. "See, come on, Izu, and none of that." Melissa blushed, scratching her cheek. It's not like it's actually me doing all that crazy stuff." Izuku frowned and blinked. Is that how it looks when I deny praise from the others?" Izuku thought, his prior acts of being humble suddenly being put into retrospect, and seeing it before him with the girl he liked. "I hate it." "I guess so." Izuku patted her knees, his smile returning with a vengeance. "But when we're done, you will be." Melissa's blush deepened by her prior humble embarrassment morphed into smiling joy. "Hey, don't forget about me," May yelled, the two turning to look at the restrained salmon-haired girl. "You got my back on this too, Shield. You me muscles, we're going to suit you up and show off to the world its first quirkless hero. One to rival All Might himself." Izuku and Melissa smiled at May. Thanks, Hame. Melissa corrected herself. Let's do our best. Great. Now, can you guys get me out of this? May squirmed against her restraints. No, Izuku and Melissa replied, their faces stern and no nonsense. Ah, May whined adorably. Tony landed heroically on the ground, his red glow reverting to blue. He rose to his feet to stare at a collapsing, burning building in front of him. That was Pepper's building, wasn't it? Tony pointed, nervous. Bakugo and Melissa's smiles dropped to horrified frowns. Oh, the two said, dread building for their counterpart. Phone call from Miss Potts. Gervais informed nonchalantly while inside Stark's HUD. A caller ID of an attractive redhead came up. Oh, someone is in trouble, Ciro said, grinning teasingly. Yeah, you're in the doghouse tonight, man. Kaminari snickered. Shut your traps before I blow them off. Bakugo roared, red-faced, though whether in anger or embarrassment, the students didn't know. Ibra raised an eyebrow, curious about who Pepper Potts's counterpart might be. Yes, simply curious. Tell her I'm not here. I'm, jogging. Tony came up with a lie as he mimicked jogging. Already answered, sir. Gervais said. You traitorous AI piece of shit. Bakugo roared at the screen. Who the hell designed you? You did, Setsuna answered, an annoyed tick mark growing on Bakugo's head. Tony, Pepper called in. Hi Pepper. How are you? Tony answered nervously. Ugh, Uraraka groaned, shaking her head as she awoke. What happened? What did I miss? Why did JARVIS just deposit $5 billion for? While Pepper called, a broken Gundam leg collapsed near Tony. Collateral damage. Uraraka fainted again. Not again, Karo. Ajui caught her best friend before she hit the ground. I'm not here, Iron Man took to the skies. I'm jogging. Tony hung up the call and flew off. Wherever he's flying off to, it's not far enough. Sen's sweat dropped. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Mineta shivered in fright. He won the battle against villainy, but might have lost the war for a peaceful partner. Tokoyami mourned. Keidato. Iron Man landed and summoned the 2D proton cannon and fired it, destroying the rest of Luthor's suit. Bullseye! Boomstick yelled. He could have kept the suit and studied it to improve upon his own, David suggested, sweat dropping at the suit destruction, and May's greater fervor trying to break free to murder Stark now. Given Stark's personality, I doubt he would consider including technology of someone he defeated, believing it inferior to his work, Endeavor muttered. Is someone salty their egomaniac with a god complex lost? Hawks teased. Endeavor's flames grew hotter and angrier. Both Tony and Lex possessed incredible pieces of technology, but only one was naturally prepared for anything, began explaining. Although it's true that Lex could trade blows with Superman in his warsuit, the only reason he lasted as long as he did is because many of its weapons are based on kryptonite. Great for battling Kryptonians. Only okay against everybody else. True, Izuku nodded along, cupping his chin. The same goes for any type of power or quirk. Certain quirks may appear invincible against others, but there can always be a counter to another. Kaminari's electricity couldn't harm Shiozaki's vines. Tokoyami's dark shadow doesn't do well against light-based attacks like from Hagakure, Bakugo, Todoroki, Kaminari, or Oyama. And my quirk's super strength was almost useless against Fleck Turn's Reflect quirk. I don't know, kid. You certainly held your own and even defeated the bastard. Miruko raised an eyebrow. Well, I mean that was dash. Izuku paused as he realized he was about to make an excuse for his victory, calling it a fluke or dumb luck. Melissa's attempt to excuse herself flashed in his mind again, and Izuku frowned. Why yeah, I guess I did. Izuku smirked up at Miruko. I couldn't let that madman destroy the world now, could I? Miruko grinned. There's that attractive confidence, Miruko thought, pleased. Yes, the warsuit could take hits from Superman, making it more than a match for even the Hulkbuster's power, but even against the very enemy it was designed to kill, the warsuit only lasts so long. Boomstick agreed, showing Superman breaking through Lex's warsuit. Iron Man's greatest advantage was being able to adapt his strategy by remotely summoning and changing suits, was explained further. The Endosim, in particular, could counter nearly anything Lex could throw at it and absorb the warsuit's power. Just like a quirk, tech will only take you so far, David said. I believe you teach that over-reliance on support items is harmful. And it is, but the same goes for how you use a quirk or rely on it too much. The true way to be the best hero you can be is through your heart and your mind. A hammer is only as precise as the person wielding it. A hero is only as strong as the hero within. Melissa stared agape at her father, his words washing over her and embedding themselves in her heart. She knew those words were more than the wise words of a man toward the hero hopefuls of UA. They were the wisdom and advice from a father to his daughter, telling her she could be a hero too. Melissa's tears welled up again, nodding gratefully at him. David smiled lovingly back. And while Lex may be physically more durable and stronger due to the kryptonite steroids, and even stood up to the likes of skilled combatants like Batman, Nightwing, and Deathstroke, Tony has faced enhanced superhumans like Captain America, Spider-Man, Thor, and even the Incredible Hulk, holding his own and even besting some of them, all without any physical enhancements other than his pacemaker and stubborn will. Wiz noted additionally. Plus, Iron Man has far more actual combat experience, Boomstick added. Lex treated physical combat as a last resort beneath him, while Tony straight up enjoys it. And there it is, the trump card that rises above all the rest. Experience, Nizu smirked. Wasn't Deathstroke a far more skilled and experienced fighter compared to Deadpool? Or Majin Buu older and more experienced in destroying planets than Kirby? Midnight pointed out. Usually the best trump card, Nizu corrected himself. Lex just wasn't suited for this battle, Boomstick punned. 6 out of 10. Mina gestured with her hand. The winner is Iron Man, Wiz declared. Respectable and victorious claps sounded throughout the makeshift auditorium. Monoma's and Kamakiri's salty frowns added to their slow, dissatisfied claps, further fueling Bakuga's petty satisfaction. Even Melissa couldn't help but feel similarly to the louder male blonde, pleased to see Monoma's dismissive, smug smile torn to pieces. Well, I believe with that, we have reached our maximum number of videos for today, Nizu announced. We will pick this up the day after tomorrow. Huh! Some of the students exclaimed, shocked and disappointed. Believe me, I know the excitement and anticipation for these fights, and it does leave me saddened as well to hold this up for a whole day, Nizu admitted. However, we teachers and our pro-hero guests still have duties and patrols to attend. I do hope that you will understand this decision. From Nizu's tone and words, the students knew the decision wasn't up for discussion. Yes, sir, the students replied, disappointed but understanding. At least, we're ending this without a teaser for the next fight to hold us over all day tomorrow, Ojiro thought, sighing. However, Nizu grinned mischievously. I don't see why not satisfy your curiosity with a snippet of the next fight, no? At first, the students smiled widely, only for the smiles to quickly morph into horror. Ojiro's face paled. Me and big fat mouth, Ojiro moaned internally. Brain. Midnight stared blankly, knowing her boss well enough that she was sure the rodent principal was laughing maniacally at the suffering and pain he was inflicting with his decision. And he wonders why we think he's lost his mind half the time, Midnight thought. Although having thought this, Midnight was somewhat thankful the UA principal decided to hold off another viewing for a day. At face value, his words were true, and their pro-hero guests, alongside the UA teaching staff, minus the retired former #1 pro and recovery girl, needed to continue their duties as heroes and patrol the streets of their country, now more than ever with the increasing number of threats and criminals spurred on by the League of Villains. Additionally, it would leave the students to spend the rest of their weekend training and honing their knowledge from the death battle videos. Yet, Midnight knew exactly what Nizu wanted to spend tomorrow on: the findings of Tartaro's prison with Aizawa, Mike, and Detective Tsukachi. Midnight's face grew troubled and antsy. knowing any time now, Aizawa and Yamada would be traveling back with whatever news they received at Tartaros, including the full confirmation whether Oboro Shirakumo really was resurrected as Kurogiri. Next time on Death Battle, Boomstick announced. The teaser abruptly began with the words, "Shunned by society," appearing. On screen, a man's pale hands grew larger and longer, his nails turning into claws, and his fingers and hands becoming covered in blue fur. A shot of the man's wide and screaming mouth became a growl as his canines grew sharper. The man's dress shirt and white lab coat began to tear at the transforming man's growing body, showing off more blue fur and muscular body. Eventually, a crate broke apart, and out from it a large blue-furred beast of a man leapt free, landing and startling a brow-haired girl as he roared. Beasts by nature. Jirota blinked, staring at the beastly individual with surprise and familiarity, the kind he sees when looking in the mirror. Atop a stone tower, as rain poured heavily and lightning cracked through the night sky, a lone gargoyle statue, built in a thinking pose, began to crack blue, glowing tears forming all along the stone body until the stones blew apart and revealed purple, scaled flesh, glowing purple eyes, a man of black hair, sharp canines, brown trousers with a black belt, a purple tail, and large purple and black wings, alive and moving. Three-toed talons cracked the tower's peak in its awakening grasp. Tokoyami's, Reiko's, and Kurwaro's eyes widened in amazement. "It can't be," Reiko gasped, wonderstruck. "Defenders of humanity." A rapid firing of scenes played out between the two fighters, showing briefly the skills, powers, and character, often by fighting. Certain special traits were shown of the two respectively, such as the blue-furred one often wearing black and yellow outfits, wearing glasses, and mixing chemicals in flasks, while upside down, while the living gargoyle stared off brutally and caught a sword easily with his bare claws. X-Men versus gargoyles. Beast versus Goliath. Beast, Pony muttered, looking at one classmate in particular. "Like Dash. Like the name of my quirk," Jirota finished, staring at the now-named beast like he was his blue-furred elder brother. That was a gargoyle, wasn't it?" Kurwaro stuttered out, astonished. "An actual stone gargoyle coming to life, all right?" "Indeed it was." Tokoyami nodded, eyes wide and his beak slack-jawed. "Holy shit." Dark Shadow voiced his partner's inner amazement. "Revelry in the dark," Reiko muttered, her normally dull, tired eyes fully open and eager. "Oh my, how interesting." Nizu grinned before that smile became mournful. "Alas, to think such curiosity I have afflicted on myself will have to be sated until Monday." All those curious eyes widened further, again with dread. "Darkness has forsaken us." The three revelers mourned. Jirota huffed, comical gusts of air bursting from his nostrils heavily, attempting to cool the raging beast within it, not being able to see the newfound beast he had already found kinship with. "In any case, let us retire for now. Vlad King, Hound Dog, please escort the students to the dorms," Nizu ordered. "To the rest, have a good day, and we shall meet again on Monday afternoon after classes." And thus did the viewing group disperse and part for their respective destinations, some more reluctant than others. On the way out, Midnight caught Nizu's stare and noticed the rodent principal had a serious frown. When Midnight's eyes began to widen, Nizu nodded, answering her unspoken question. "They're back."